All right, guys, welcome to the live stream for the Farah by-election. It's Rukshan Fernando, your host from Rebel News Australia. We also have Topher joining in, and I've seen some of the oddcasties in here as well. Thanks for joining in, guys. This is actually live streaming on Rebel News Australia, as well as my platform, Rukshan Fernando, for Rebel News Australia, Avi's platform as well, and Topher's as well. So there's a cross audience joining in today for what is sure to be a historic night if we are to believe the polls, and One Nation comes through with a historic victory in a seat that's been held by the Liberal Party since its inception. So a historic moment, whichever way you look at this. So we do have a live cross that will happen to the One Nation after party. I'll see if I can bring a shot of that onto the screen there. You got the guys setting up. You got Topher there. So Topher's actually going to be bringing us coverage from the after party and doing the interviews, talking to people, bringing you guys a lot of the atmosphere. So you'll see me here and there on the screens hosting. We'll go through some of the reactions online. I'll do the super chats. Like I said, if you guys want to do and get involved in the conversation, whichever platform you're watching on, whether it's mine, Topher's, Rebel News Australia, you can do a super chat, and that will mean we will bring it on screen if it's appropriate, of course, and discuss that with you guys as well in the comments. So without further ado, I think Topher's just getting ready. We're going to cross over to him soon. Oh, we've got a call coming in. Let's just cross over. Hey, mate. Yeah, we'll cross over to Topher. I'll cross over. Yep. How you doing, mate? Can you hear me?
I can't hear anything. I don't hear anything.
Topher, thanks for joining in.
Yes,
Let
I
us
can.
know about what's happening down there.
Well, mate, at the moment, not very much. There's an awful lot of orange, an awful lot of balloons. There's corflutes everywhere, and of course, a lectern anticipating speeches in just a little while. But right now, the one thing we're lacking is very many people. But of course, that's to be expected. The polls have only just closed, and the situation is that all the volunteers are going to need some time to be able to come in here, not to mention the candidate himself, as well as various One Nation heavyweights like Barnaby Joyce and, of course, Pauline Hanson herself. They've been travelling far and wide. This is an enormous electorate, and that cannot be overstated enough for urban viewers. You might be used to driving past an MP's office and then 20 minutes later driving past another MP's office because the seats can be quite small. Out here, the seat actually goes all the way from Albury across to the South Australian border. This is the second largest federal seat in New South Wales. Of course, there are some enormous ones in West Australia and the Northern Territory and elsewhere as well. But in terms of New South Wales, it is the second largest. It's a vast area. So we're going to see an increasing number of people coming through over the next 2 hours, literally, as people finish up on the polling booths, get in their cars and drive in. There is an enormous amount of anticipation, of course. The polls have been looking very good for David Farley with One Nation, not to mention the bookies having him at very short odds, $1.12 by the time I last checked yesterday, and an unbackable favourite at this point is my understanding. So there's definitely a sense of anticipation, but right now, not a lot to fill the room, but that will of course change over time. And we are going to bring you interviews with everyone that we can, and Pauline of course, and Barnaby, not to mention David and others. But there are some other really interesting subplots that I think we need to preface here. There are some things, Rukshan, that you and I should be looking for as tonight unfolds, because we're actually faced with a really interesting situation where it's entirely possible that the winner, hopefully David Farley in my case, I'm not going to pretend that I'm unbiased, I'm hoping that he wins, he will claim victory. But also, Michelle Milthorpe, who is the main competitor, may also be in a position to claim a form of victory as well. This is quite an interesting little subplot here. We need to remember that there was a federal election only 1 year ago. What we saw at that election was Susan Ley, who was the incumbent. She'd been in for 24 years at that point in time. She was returned by the electorate with 56% of the two-party preferred, but it was Michelle Milthorpe who was the second out of all of the other candidates, and she was, of course, on 44% at that point. But she got there largely on preferences, which she attracted from Labor, from the Greens, and from the broader spectrum of left-wing politics. Her primary vote was actually just below 20%. Now, that's still impressive. She was a first-time candidate, but she has the opportunity to increase that quite dramatically. On recent polling, her primary is likely to go from about 20% up to 30%. Now, that, of course, is helped by the fact that Labor simply did not run a candidate in this particular by-election. My read on that is that they were afraid that if they ran a candidate, then they might end up with single-digit first preference results because of the strength of Michelle Milthorpe as a left-wing independent, and they didn't want the embarrassment, so they chose not to run. That, of course, is going to help Michelle's numbers considerably, so she, irrespective of the actual final outcome, is likely to be able to claim some form of victory in terms of a step forward. The other area where I think she'll be watching very closely to be able to claim victory is on that two-party preferred split. Like I said just a year ago, 56% to 44%. If she's able to narrow that gap to David Farley at all tonight, then she will still be able to claim victory in some form, progress in some form, and that will position her to be able to challenge again for the seat in just a couple of years' time when we have the next full federal election. But that's not the only subplot that we've got going tonight. Some other interesting things. There's about 120,000 people enrolled in this seat. At the last federal election, 9% of the electorate simply did not show up to vote. Let's remember, this is only 1 year ago. 9% simply didn't bother. Of the ones that voted, another 9% voted informal, which is a higher than typical percentage. So combined, 18% of this electorate simply chose or by accident had no bearing on the outcome of the federal election here just 1 year ago. That 18%, should they decide to actually get involved this time, could actually be a very decisive factor. Now, one of the reasons why we often see spikes in informal votes, it often happens where people are simply not happy with any of the options that they're being presented with. And that's certainly been true in the latter years of Susan Lay's time as the local member here. She was very unpopular with her own branch to the point that they actually tried to unseat her with a pre-selection challenge, and it was Prime Minister Scott Morrison who stepped in and saved her and kept her as the candidate here in Farrer. But that dissatisfaction continues. That hasn't gone anywhere. It hasn't gone away. And I think that manifested itself a year ago in the form of people voting informal or simply choosing not to show up. Because let's not forget, a year ago, One Nation were not considered a serious alternative. They were polling around 6%. They got 6.6% a year ago here in this very same electorate. So I think a lot of people just chose to stay away, or they drew a picture. I won't describe the picture, but they drew a picture on their ballot and ultimately had no effect on the outcome of that particular election. So I'll be very interested to see what is the turnout percentage this time. Is it higher? I expect it will be. What is the informal percentage this time? Is it lower? I expect also, once again, that it will be. I think that could prove to be a decisive factor. And I would expect that if my theory is right, that's likely to break heavily in One Nation's favour. Those people who were disaffected and simply didn't participate last time, when Michelle Milthorpe was on the ballot, they were probably protesting by their absence against the lack of leadership on the Liberal National side. Well, now they've been given a genuine alternative in the form of One Nation, and there's a very real possibility that they will show up in some quite significant numbers. So from there, we go down into preferences for other parties, but without being disrespectful, the simple fact is that the poll is unequivocal. This is really a two-horse race between One Nation and Michelle Milthorpe, and certainly the recent polling and the recent bookies numbers, the betting odds, have certainly favoured David Farley and One Nation very, very heavily. However, you should never count your chickens before they've hatched. And I know that there's going to be a lot of people tap dancing on the floorboards until the numbers come in. I want to finish just talking about when the numbers come in. We need to remember not only is the seat of Farrer a vast physical area, but it actually is very, very dynamic, and it changes dramatically depending on where you go. Albury is its largest population centre, with the greater Albury area having around about a third of the overall population. Then you have a couple of other pretty significant population centres, Wagga, Griffith and others. But an enormous part of this electorate is people who work the land, or people who work in industries that process primary production, food and fibre. And these people think very differently, and their priorities are very, very different to the people in, for example, Albury. Here, the hospital is a massive issue, and that's an area where Michelle Milthorpe does very well and has done very, very well. In Albury, she's likely to do the best out of anywhere. In Albury and perhaps a couple of the towns near Albury, Jindera, she's likely to do well. The further away from Albury you get, the less well she's likely to do, because the hospital plays into people's decisions less and less the further you go. You can literally drive drive for nearly 8 hours and still be inside the seat of Farah. So obviously someone at the other end of the seat of Farah doesn't really care too much about the hospital situation here in Albury. They're much more concerned about things like irrigation, water and infrastructure and services and cost of living, and whether their property rights are going to be respected or whether they're going to be forced to have power lines or solar panels or other things put onto their property against their will. These are the issues that the vast electorate are actually concerned about. And the reason we need to keep that in mind is because depending on which polling booths report first, the early numbers might be heavily skewed one way or the other. If the first polling booths to report are mostly rural polling booths, we're going to see numbers coming in really strongly for One Nation, but that might not be representative of the average across the seat as a whole. And the same can be said for if the early booths are based in Albury, they could break quite heavily in favour of Michelle Milthorpe. But again, it won't be representative because we're not getting a representative sample of the dynamic range of opinion across the seat. So we are going to have to hold our horses and not try and make mountains out of molehills when that first couple of counts come in. Wait until the count is at least 10 to 15 to 20% reported. At that point, I think we can start to begin to see trends and start to observe what's happening. Before then, I think there's just too much risk that the numbers we're looking at will be too heavily skewed by which particular booths have managed to count their votes the fastest. That's all from me. We are slowly seeing there's a trickle of people coming in over here, still very, very few. And honestly, the crowd probably won't arrive for another half an hour to an hour from now. Like I said, people coming in from these polling booths, having worked all day, trying to persuade people to vote for One Nation. But we'll come back to you a little bit later on, Rukshan, and certainly as this place fills up, we're going to bring you lots of interviews. We're also going to show you, of course, all of the speeches and the formalities. And hopefully, I'm very optimistic we will have a result tonight. I'm very optimistic that by the time we close this broadcast, we will know the outcome in Farah. Of course, I don't know that that's definitely going to happen, but I think it's very, very likely. So it might be a long night, but it should be a good night and certainly very interesting. Back to you, Rukshan.
Thanks, Topher, and great introduction. I think there's no one like Topher that can give one of these introductions about what's going on with the numbers. Usually when me and Avi do this, we struggle a little bit with all the statistics and the numbers, but it's great to have Topher on board today, bringing us from the scene. So if you were joining us last week, guys, when we did the Farah by-election, you would have noticed there was a lot of interviews coming through on the phone and things like this, but we have Topher on the ground. So when the interviews are happening, when the crowd's filled up, like Topher has said, we'll cross to Topher more. But throughout the night, I'll be bringing you the social media comments. I'll be bringing you the comments from what the other outlets are doing. I've also got a stream of... sorry, guys, we'll just cross over. All right, guys, I'm back on. I had to get my headphones back on because we are doing a live cross. There's a slight bit of a delay, so I use the phone headphones just to ensure that when we're having a discussion, it comes through naturally. But hopefully audio, everything's coming through good. If you're joining in, welcome to the live stream. This is the Farah by-election. You saw there Topher on the ground. Avi might be calling in later as well. We got Benji there on the camera again, like last week when we did the Nepean by-election. And guys, this is just a different way of bringing you elections here in Australia, right? This is a federal election that's happening right now, this by-election. It's more interesting. Sure, you can watch other networks and, you know, get the specialists in there talking about things, but we're going to bring you stuff from in the ground, from the people, as well as your comments as well. We've already got one super chat in there, so you can do super chats, guys, and get involved in the conversation as well. I will just read the first super chat that we've had, but whether you're watching on Topher's channels or on Rebel News Australia or Avi's or mine, you can do super chats and join in the conversation. Hope you guys are enjoying this. It's going to be a few hours. I think I'll be streaming for a few hours. Like, the polls have just closed. People are going to be streaming their ways into this after party for One Nation. We will be getting in results at some point from the AEC. I've got that all lined up so we can go through the numbers as well as it's coming in. Let's just bring that up so you know that that's there ready to go. Let's just bring that in. So we'll get all those things happening. Main thing I want to do, I want to go through X as well and see how people are reacting. I think that's really, one of the most interesting parts of being able to do these type of live streams is we can bring in the live reactions from people, their comments. I do also have a stream of the ABC running. Now, normally we didn't cross to the ABC last time, but this time we've got Matt Canavan on there speaking. We might cross into that as well just to hear what he's saying. this time we want to listen in for the any ABC meltdowns, because I don't know if you saw the news yesterday. The ABC were actually kicked out of a One Nation press conference, and they had a bit of a sook about this as well. And there's been an ongoing tussle between the ABC and One Nation. So it'll be interesting to see how the commentators on the ABC who are covering the election, this by-election tonight, react to the news if One Nation do get up. And based on all the odds and the polling and the numbers, David Farley is in prime position to actually get up and make history. This is a historic moment if One Nation do get up. This will be the first time they've won a lower house seat in a federal parliament. They've got Barnaby Joyce in the lower house, but he's a defection. It'll be the first time this seat that has always been held by either the Liberals or the Nationals, I think from about 1949, will switch over to an alternative party away from the coalition to One Nation. And then, yes, like Topher mentioned in the intro, we've also got the Independent in there. We've got Get Up. We've got claims of Teals and Climate 200 and all the things that we've seen throughout the last couple of months leading up to this moment, because it is a bellwether to see how One Nation could perform federally. They've had stellar results in South Australia during the South Australian election, and then they've also had a pretty decent result here in Victoria. Let's just cross into what Matt Canavan is saying on the ABC. We won't spend too much time on this, but let's have a listen in.
True conservative convictions. I don't believe I've ever departed from that, but we have lost our way a little bit. But we've now said we're going to scrap net zero. Angus Taylor has announced an excellent migration policy. We will take it up to the Labor Party. And the question is going to be at this next election, who's best to form government, who's best to beat the Labor Party. And look, I congratulate all candidates, but there's been a few stumbles from some of the One Nation candidate, the One Nation campaign, and you're not going to get that kind of drama from us. I'm always appearing on your show, David. I'll never kick you out of a press conference. I'll give you that promise now.
Glad to hear.
Right? As much as you annoy me, not you don't annoy me too much. A few of your colleagues annoy me sometimes, but
okay.
But I'll never kick them out of a press conference.
All right.
I'll never.
So we're just cutting back to our stream here from inside the after party. So you can see Matt Canavan, the leader of the Nationals. When he did become the leader of the Nationals, he did speak very strongly against Pauline Hanson, One Nation, and some of their policies. It has changed a little bit, the tone. Obviously, they're competing against each other, so they have to compete. And politics is cutthroat. It's not going to be all niceties all the time, particularly during an election like this. So from the comments I've seen of Canavan throughout the week, it does seem like the Nationals have somewhat conceded that they don't really have a chance in this based on the numbers that we're seeing. Let's just have a look at your super chats, guys. So we'll bring in super chats here. We've got one from, let's see if we can bring it on screen. Not Con PC. Let's put this in an area where we can see it nice and clear. It says, whether it's supermarkets, telcos, or political seats, is always more beneficial when there is greater competition. Hope to see more seats being picked up by the minor parties. And that's the thing. I think that's one of the major aspects of having a force like One Nation being more prominent in elections and being more competitive, because it puts the Liberals on notice and obviously the Nationals as well, and also changes the direction of the conversation that's happening in the country. I think Pauline Hanson and One Nation has been very successful at changing the direction of many conversations, whether it's on immigration, whether it's on housing, the policies and the directions of the conversations that she leads, particularly by being more honest with the Australian people, has meant that the Liberal parties, especially considering these numbers that we're seeing, the competitiveness between these Conservative parties, have had to change their policies as well. So that's been great to see. We've got another super chat coming in from the real Eric Alistair. Thanks for the super chat, mate. Did Avi already get replaced? Pretty much. If you guys saw the announcement yesterday, I have officially joined Rebel News Australia as a reporter. And this is what it looks like. You are watching the DEI hire take over. I've got Topher as well working for me here in the Farah electorate, and we're bringing it to you tonight. But Avi, he's engaged in a family commitment today, but he might call in. He's got the link to call in. So whenever he wants, I'm sure he's watching instead of doing whatever he's meant to be doing tonight. He's probably watching and annoying everyone. He might call in and we'll have a discussion with him as well. But you can see in the live shot there, Topher networking there, speaking with Paul Murray from Sky News. Benji's getting us all the shots. While we'll just have a full view of this and let this play out for a little bit, and I'll just find out what's happening online and try to bring some commentary of what people are saying online.
Really interesting electorate when it comes to migration. A lot of the industries here.
Joining us live now is One Nation leader Pauline Hanson. It's good to see you.
Pauline Hanson yesterday on from Sky News. We'll just play this interview because she makes a few good points about how she's feeling about this campaign and on the policies as well. Let's have a listen in.
Hey, Pauline, so how are you feeling today?
Thank
you got some pep in your step?
I certainly have, Peter, and just talking to people on the ground here as I arrived yesterday and this morning, there's a lot of support in the town for One Nation, and we'll see what happens when people can cast their final vote tomorrow on election day.
OK, so let's get to this stoush between one of your volunteers and James Patterson. It perhaps shows how tense things are on the ground. Now, you and James Ashby apologised to Senator Patterson, but then changed your tune, which struck Senator Patterson, when I was talking to him yesterday, as being a little more than curious. So why the change, from your view, after initially apologising to him?
Peter, it was brought to my attention about only a few minutes before I went to air on Chris Kenny, and then the conversation I had on the phone was there was a lot of blood. There was an altercation that happened. I had no idea. That's all I was told. The people on the ground believed that it was the right thing to do, to ring up James Patterson, make sure that it was okay. You know, you expect a senator on the ground to do the right thing by the public. Anyway, after I did the interview, and I said, well, look, we don't condone any sort of violence, and I still stand by that. Having watched the full video clip, James Patterson was really goading the volunteer, and of course the volunteer was saying, why are you putting out dirty politics? Why are you putting out a call flute that's saying that our candidate is going to turn to Labor? And Patterson's saying, well, he is. And he said, well, that's not true. And he said he was a member of the Labor Party. He never was a member of the Labor Party. And besides, he needs to really think himself, because Malcolm Turnbull was in the Labor Party. So they're a bunch of hypocrites. I'm sick of the dirty politics that are going on in here. You know, the backhand and the...
So if you guys missed out on what Pauline Hanson is talking about, there were a few issues during the week of pre-polling where people could go early in and vote between volunteers and a Senator, James Patterson from the Liberal Party, Victorian Senator, where he got in the face of a One Nation supporter. They had a bit of a back and forth, and it ended up in, physical touching of a phone and so forth. So there was a lot of commotion made around this. What I've noticed is, as One Nation has been doing well in these polls, and as their lead looks commanding in terms of how it might play out on the night, there has been lots of attempts by the media and by the other parties as well to introduce these kind of issues into the mix. Whether it's that they're violent, or they've got this issue, or they're banning the media. It's been about everything else except the policies. And we'll look at some of those policy discussions as well while we're waiting for the results to come in and for Topher to come back on the stream. You can see in the corner there, the room is still pretty empty. So there's been a lot of this happening with One Nation, because I think if you just look at it based on the policies, it's really resonating with the public. It's really cutting through to people. So they're trying to find other avenues. One of the major ones has been on focusing on David Farley's past associations with different political parties. So whether it's, he was once a member of the Liberal Party, or once tried to, be a Labor Party candidate, or once he tried to be a Teals candidate, and so on. And we've seen plenty of this throughout the last couple of weeks. So it's almost like there's been no major scandal, and they've tried to invent things to put people off One Nation in that particular town there in Farah, in that electorate. But what we've seen is, I think most people are tuned out of this. People are looking at bigger picture things. People are looking at how these type of elections will impact their lives, and the mood of the nation that we can see, at least over the last couple of months, has shifted towards One Nation and Pauline Hanson, the orange wave. Now, some people dispute that there's an orange wave, especially a lot of the Labour supporters. A lot of the lefties will say there's no orange wave. It's just Conservatives taking votes from each other. It doesn't really put a dent into what Labour has managed to achieve with their majorities and having, so much control in the federal parliament with the Greens and all the other state parliaments. Pretty much most of the country is red. And there's some truth to this. But what this is doing, like I discussed before, is it shifts the discussion points in the country. And immigration now is a major discussion point. Just the other day, we had the ISIS brides coming in, and you've had the opposition, you've had Pauline Hanson speak very strongly against this, and even Labour take a strong stance against this as well, because this is not one of these situations where there can be too much grey area about how people want to tackle these type of issues, because the public are listening. People are paying very close attention right now to politics. And I think a lot of this is thanks to what One Nation is doing, and in particular, Pauline Hanson, and in this instance, David Farley here in the electorate of Farah. We'll keep watching that interview, and we'll come back to see if Topher or Benji is available for a chat. Let's have a listen in.
The gutter politics that's happening, I expected something different from James Patterson. That's why I changed my opinion about this when I saw the full video clip, and he was secretly filming that. When the volunteer found that out, that's when he tried to grab the phone, because he said, "You're filming this." And actually he was complimentary of James Patterson prior to that, in the lead up to the conversation. So, if you're going to don't come around here and stirring problems, and which the National Party and also the Liberal Party have, to try and have a go at One Nation. It's not on. The people are fed up with the gutter politics. I'm fed up with it. I'm sick of the dirty games constantly being directed at One Nation all the time, because they know they're losing their support. They know they're losing the votes, and they can't handle it.
But didn't Farley seek pre-selection for the Labor Party and show support for independents, left-wing independents in the past?
No, he didn't, actually, because Susan Lee did nothing in this electorate over the water issue. So David went seeking...
Let's cross over to Topher. Just get my headphones in here. Yeah, perfect. Topher, you're good to go, mate.
These cartoons could be credited, and I think you're going to tell me that I'm wrong because you're going to be humble about this, but these cartoons came out and very quickly One Nation's fortunes changed. How much do you sincerely believe that what you did might have affected that?
No, I want that part of the narrative. People keep coming up with alternative ideas. I think it is the cartoons that have caused this entire run. I want that on record.
Yep.
That's the reason why. It's really good for our bottom line.
All right, well, you're on record now. You're on record with Rebel News. Now, you've just restarted a couple more cartoons.
Yep.
Another season is coming out. We'll get to that in just a second. I want to talk about the Super Progressive movie. This was an incredibly taboo thing. This is probably the most taboo movie since Tropic Thunder. And I hope you don't mind that comparison, but Tropic Thunder, Full Retard, all of that.
Yeah.
Then you've come out, then it went quiet. Everything went super woke. Where do you go for your ideas? How the hell did you end up with a man in a dress getting an abortion and all of the nonsense that went on around that?
Mate, it's you just lock yourself in a room. I broke a whiteboard. Like, we had a proper big $500 whiteboard. It's smashed to bits and pieces because we were just, we just pitched them the idea of the film. This is something that's big, it's big and stunty, this is really big and different. And to their credit, they just said, go for it. You have free reign, go for it. They didn't even know that Pauline was going to be in it. At one point, we were going to make Pauline voice an Aboriginal character called Auntie Pauline. Okay. It was that close. They just gave us free reign. To their credit, they just give us full trust and full capacity to go as far as we want. And then we just set the date, January 26th. It just had to get done by then. It was an absolute miracle that it did. And that's how it happens every single week.
All right, unfortunately, we can't talk creativity without talking a little bit about money. In Australia, the government throws a bunch of taxpayers' money at all kinds of movies and projects and things, but you have to get the approval of all of the... we've just got a guide dog coming through here, Benji.
Sorry, guys.
Just welcome, come on in. Stick with us, Rukshan, we haven't finished. So we've got taxpayers' money being thrown at bureaucratically approved projects, which of course bomb because no one wants to watch all the wokeness that they approve. How has the super progressive movie performed on that front? Are we going to see a renaissance of Australian filmmaking?
Well, that's the plan. I really want these guys to hit it on the floor of Parliament because nothing will make you angrier as a creative or a person who's paying tax. Go and read the Screen Australia list of everything they're funding. What was it? The Lesbian Space Princess was the only film that got funded by Screen Australia a couple of years ago, and I'm not joking. That's the only film, the animated film that got done. So it's terrifying when you read that list and just the checklist that you have to tick, and even on the application form. 2 white fellas from Melbourne, we don't stand a chance to get it done. So, and the film itself, it's already cost neutral. It's made its money back, which I don't think that there's a single film that's been produced in Australia that's done that for a very long time. So it shows that there's a real hunger, a real market for it to do something different because we just produce absolute shit at the moment.
All right, I want to talk about the election in just a moment, but first, the new season of the Please Explain cartoons. I got so many messages of people genuinely excited. They're back, we're so excited. Listen, can we give the people what they want, though? Let's be honest. What they want is a character called Topher, who is a gopher with massive teeth. And he never uses doors. He always gnaws his way through the walls.
I love it.
All right.
Yeah,
can we make that happen?
Consider
All right.
it done.
Fantastic.
Will you voice it?
I'll voice it. 100%. I'll do. Yeah. 100%.
Done.
Now let's talk about the Farah by-election because that is why we're actually here. There's an enormous sense of optimism, but there's also just that sense of having to be restrained and acknowledge that it's not over till it's actually over. How are you feeling? You've come in, you've now seen kind of the circuses come to my town. This is my neck of the woods now. How do you think this is likely to unfold tonight?
Well, mate, I've been involved with this party. Tangentially, but we've been pretty deeply embedded in it for a long time. Yeah. I was a One Nation fan back when it was dangerous. Yeah. You know, like when Pauline came to Melbourne, we had to sort of make sure that no one saw her. Now she just gets, mobbed by people who want selfies, and there are kids and migrants everywhere. Mm-hmm. Genuinely, this is one of the most optimistic places you can be, is a room full of One Nation fans and a room full of One Nation volunteers. We're the only party that dares to be optimistic. We're the only ones that dare to be patriotic. This is a great place to be. So I'm really excited, and I've known that for a long time. I'm just really excited for the national, for everyone around the country to see it now. They're going to witness it tonight. They're going to see just how great this group of people is and how much they just really want to bring this country back.
Well, massive props to you for backing One Nation before it was cool.
Yeah.
Who knew that it was ever going to become cool?
I know.
Who thought? Anyway, Rukshan, back to you in the studio.
Good on you, Rukshan.
Thanks, Topher. Thank you.
Thanks for that, mate.
Well done.
I appreciate it. That's heaps of fun. You've got a good...
All right, guys, that was Topher bringing us an interview there from the One Nation after party in Farah. So as you can see, it's a bit dynamic today. So we are experimenting with this format, and we've got the Victoria state election coming up. Should be interesting if we can do a bit of coverage like this then as well. I think we definitely will be. It's, I love it. I'm really enjoying it. We're going to read your super chats now. And if you want to take part in the conversation, guys, you can see your comments are strolling in the screen there. But if you want your comment read on screen, ensure you do a super chat on any of the platforms you are watching on. So a lot of people asking, is Topher a part of Rebel News as well? No, he's just collaborating with us today. So I have officially joined Rebel News yesterday, but Topher is actually collaborating because Farah is in his neck of the woods and Avi was engaged in a family event tonight, so we thought we would still bring you the coverage. Topher jumped on board to help us out. So if you want to check out Topher's work, guys, and you don't follow him, look up at Topher Field on all the social media platforms and you'll find him. Great commentary on all things politics, all things Australia, and all things generally to do with the West. He has great commentary as a libertarian on those topics. Let's have a look at your super chats and we'll continue on and see what people are saying online. We got one from here, Nick Down Under, pair character doing a shake sign with his hand saying, cool, that's an emoji. Thanks for the contribution, mate. Appreciate it. Let's find a nice spot for these comments to come through. You got a few more people coming in there as well. It's good to see this shot. We'll just leave that shot on the screen. Shameful Music says, Rukshan, super chat, Rukshan got a new job without DEI. People are suspicious. A lot of people think I'm a diversity hire. I'll take it. I'll take the diversity hire label. I think I've earned my spot on Rebel News Australia. What do you guys think? I've been collaborating with Avi for a long time. A lot of people suspected I was working with Rebel News, but no. I think I've earned it. What do you reckon? I've got one from Baz the Dark Horse, mate. Good to see you. Rook, why? So we have the B team. We need Carl's. I think Carl's was very busy overseas from the stories that I've seen, and she's just come back to Australia maybe, or she's on the way back. But otherwise, yeah, it would have been great to have Carl's on this stream as well and have the Oddcast team with the Rebel News Australia team and Topher there on the ground. Thanks, Baz. Another one from Rick. Thanks, Topher, for your work. Definitely, Topher's going to be doing a lot of the hard work tonight as the event keeps going. Let's just see what's happening, Benji. What's Benji capturing for us? Let's have a look. Just the people coming through. So these are live shots, guys, you're watching from the One Nation after party in Farah.
That was all good from your end?
So
let's cut the commercial music there. We don't want to get taken off these platforms because that always tends to happen, unfortunately, at live events when the commercial music plays. All right, let's have a look at the online reactions, guys. So I promised to go through X and see what people are saying online. So we'll just bring this into a little screen so you can see that nothing will be missed out on. And we'll just bring up X here to see what people are saying online. I think we just search for Farah. It's probably the best way to do this. Let's have a look. Sky News says a Farah farmer is hoping Saturday's by-election will result in a major shift for his community's representation in Canberra, saying something needs to change. So let's actually have a look at who the candidates are. We got here from the Liberals, Razia Batuski, and the Independent, Michelle Milthorpe. We've got a candidate from Gerard Rennick's People's First Party, Jamie Bonifin. The Nationals are running Brad Robertson. We've got Legalized Cannabis Party running Amy Lee Pearson. The Greens, Richard Orcus Hendry. Another independent, Roger Woodard. And then we've got One Nation here, David Farley. Pretty big field. Family First, Rebecca Scriven. Affordable Housing Sustainability Australia Party. They're running Lucas James Ellis. And there's another independent, Gary Jean Pappen. And we got Shooters, Fishers, and Farmers running Peter Sinclair. As mentioned earlier on, this is the first time, if David Farley does manage to win this for One Nation, it'll be the first time it's been out of the coalition's hands since its inception in 1949. But pretty big field there. The main contenders are the independent here, Michelle Milthorpe, David Farley from One Nation, and then the Liberal, Razia Batuski. I might be butchering that name. I really apologize, but it's those three are the main three that are to watch. But let's have a look at people's reactions online and see what they're saying. I've got the Daily Mail here. Farah by-election live. Voters cast their final ballots as Pauline Hanson's One Nation hopes to win first ever federal lower house seat. The Age. Today is the first by-election of the 48th Parliament, triggered by the resignation of former opposition leader Susan Ley, with two main contenders vying for the national spotlight and the chance to represent Farah until the 2028 election. Voters have gone to the polls in the regional by-election. Let's have a listen in what the Age is posting.
We need to change. All the others, we need to change. All the others are liars. They don't back up on their promises. We've had enough and it's time to bring in some new blood. And Pauline's got the ideas that I think the rest of us are thinking, but a little bit scared to say.
I think mainly the environmental challenges that we're running with, as in costs for renewables. I don't believe that they work, and I believe it's costing us billions that we'll never be able to pay back, and nor will our children and great-grandchildren be able to pay it back. The spending's gotten way too high. I think our resources are getting sold off for next to zero, which we don't get any royalties for, and I think the money needs to come back to the people.
I think they're for the people. I feel our local area has been neglected for a fairly long time. Yeah, just a change.
As a recreational shooter, I just feel that their policies on firearm ownership is a lot better than everybody else's. All anti-guns, everything has been rushed through. Like being out here in the rural area, we do need options to do our job properly.
Everybody else has had a bit of a go at trying to get this country into order, and I love Pauline Hanson's straightforward approach and doesn't hold back and says exactly what the normal everyday Australian is thinking, that the country needs a good turnover and she's the girl to do it. I would like to see the health system looked at. I would like to see this business about bringing these people into the country that shouldn't be allowed in the country. We've got a lot of homelessness in the country and it doesn't seem to be being addressed. The cost of living has just got out of control for the everyday standard person that just gets a basic wage. Just little things like that that are really, really important that should have been looked at a very long time ago but have just blown out of proportion.
Inland Australia is struggling at the moment. The Labor Party policies are not doing us any good. The lack of fuel and the cost of fertilisers added to our business costs significantly, and it being on the rural property. And this is the way forward as far as I see.
Very interesting. This is one of the phenomena we've seen over the last few months as One Nation has really gotten up there in the polls, is the media has been forced to cover One Nation in a decent manner instead of just going straight to racist, far right. What we've seen for decades when they talk about One Nation and Pauline Hanson, you're now actually hearing from voters, people in this electorate of Farah, people who are experiencing the impacts of the issues like immigration and the cost of living. If you listen to those comments, you're hearing them just obviously give very normal reasons for supporting One Nation. And we haven't heard that for a long time in the Australian press. They've always managed to find ways to stigmatise people that support One Nation, to paint them as far-right racists. It's always been this way, especially from the left. I was going to say left-stream networks, but the left-leaning mainstream networks like the ABC, like The Age. They've always seemed to cast Pauline Hanson as a villain and her supporters as being, these dumb, racist bogans. But what we're seeing now is something totally different in the media's approach. They're having to come to where Pauline Hanson and where One Nation are and where the people of Australia are. And it's this frustration that's boiled over for them now turning to a party like One Nation and saying, we're sick of the uni party. We're sick of what Labor's done for all these years. We're sick of the Liberals as well, if it is for the Conservatives. And we're now looking to One Nation to bring us some change. And it is a sign of hope for many people. I really see in the comments that I look at online, from the conversations I see, especially amongst Conservatives, I know the Labor supporters and the left-wing, nutbags are not really taking it as seriously. This is not like your typical election show, people. We're going to be calling people nutbags. They're still playing the whole everyone's a racist and you're only a racist if you support One Nation. But we've seen progressively over time more and more people coming board to the One Nation train. It is the orange wave, right? It is a replication of MAGA in some ways, and people trying to make that a bad thing. But I think it's good to have a patriotic, nationalistic movement. In this instance, civic nationalism. I think people take offense to that as well, because Pauline Hanson has been someone that includes everyone in Australia. She's not the racist that people point her out to be. She has a very broad idea of Australia, and she's been willing to back that up with the statements that she's made over a long period of time now. So let's just have a look at what's happening down at the ABC, actually. Let's see if they're having any meltdowns.
good question. I mean, I think there's frustration at things that have gone on within the coalition and the splits between the coalition. That's all sorted and back together, but we really have only been on the ground now for, 8 weeks, 9 weeks or so. We probably haven't had enough time with our terrific candidate, Raisa Patowski, who has worked so hard and has been received really well, I think, by the electorate. But we just simply haven't had enough time to get her out there.
Okay, but you and Angus Taylor have been there now 3 months. Are you not taking any responsibility for what happens tonight, or you will take responsibility for what happens tonight?
Oh, no, I think it's been great actually working.
Let's cut to Topher. It looks like he's going to do an interview. We don't need to listen to the ABC. Hey, mate. Oh, yeah, I'll get the audio running.
Some introspection to say, hey, this was our first opportunity to go out there and really listen to the frustration of voters on the ground. They were telling us how angry they were. They were telling us how frustrated they were.
We've just had the very, very earliest results come in, just 0.2% counted, and this really illustrates the point that I made about not making too much out of the really early results. The simple fact is that this is presumably a seat that is, or rather a booth that is located in a pretty regional area. As you can see by the results here, if we were to take them at face value, we're looking at an absolute landslide for One Nation, but of course that's not the case. We know that this is going to moderate significantly as we get more and more booths and polls coming in from places like Albury, where we expect that Michelle Milthorpe will have done better. I will say this though, that will concern the Michelle Milthorpe supporters and the Michelle Milthorpe camp to be sitting at less than 20% out in regional areas. Regional areas make up about 60 to 66% of this electorate, with about the remainder being in population centres. And so if she's below 20% out in those regional areas, it's going to be very hard for her to make that deficit back through Albury, through Griffith, and through Wagga, and these sorts of places where she may do significantly better. So let's not get ahead of ourselves, but I will say that even though this is exceptionally preliminary counting, I think the Michelle Milthorpe camp will be looking at that and thinking to themselves that they need to see that turn around real quick, because just overcoming a deficit like that in regional areas using only 1/3 of the electorate's population becomes statistically very difficult to do as the night goes on. So very, very early, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but certainly these numbers don't give a lot of hope for the challenger, Michelle Milthorpe. Back to you, Rukshan.
We might be getting a slight delay there as well, guys, so I'll try to fix that as we're going, and we'll look at the early results that Topher's talking about as well. So let me just shut the audio on this one. We are not the ABC. We're not funded like the ABC. This is a one-man show. I'm doing all the crosses. I'm doing the graphics, the overlays. Mate, we are pulling in more work than the taxpayer-funded ABC. I don't know why they take billions of dollars. If we can do this from a couple of cameras in a bedroom, I don't know why they're taking billions and billions of dollars of us and not providing us with coverage like this all the time. So let's have a look at the actual numbers that are coming in. So Topher did mention we do have some early numbers from the ABC. Here we go. So we only got 0.5% of the vote that's been counted very early on, and 69.1% of those have gone towards David Farley from One Nation, and 30.9% of them towards the Independent. So it's a 12.9% swing to the from the Independent. What else results do we have? Let's just have a look if there's anything with the Liberals. Try to pull it in.
hate that feeling today.
All right, guys, I'm back. I was just trying to bring the results onto the screen so we can keep an eye on them as well. So I've got a chart here that you guys can keep an eye on. This will be updated in real time. That'll give you a really good idea of what's happening right now. With the two main contenders, which is David Farley and Michelle Milthorpe, the independent. David Farley, of course, being from One Nation. So early results really puts him way ahead. We've got first preferences in here. So 541 votes already gone to One Nation. The Independents picked up 254. And the Liberal Party candidate Razia has picked up 109, and then the Nationals behind them at 106. So you can see how the numbers are playing out right now. At least from what it looks like, David Farley is in a commanding position. If we just look at the preferences, how they were done, I did save this earlier. I'll bring it up on the screen as well. We'll go through the preferences, who's preferencing who.
How you going? Good to see you.
Let's just make this a little bit smaller as well. So in terms of preferences, the Liberals are, Razia is preferencing the Independent, and then Bonifin, I believe, was, I've got to go back to that, which party they were from. And then we got them referencing Farley way down the list there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 preferencing One Nation. We've got David Farley's ticket here. Put him first, number 1. And then number 2, well, was I reading that correctly? Sorry, no, 1 is by the Liberals. And then number 2, she's preferencing B. Robertson. And then 3, Woodard. And then 4, David Farley. There you go. Farley's preferencing, or One Nation out of vote card had number 2, Robertson, and number 3, the Liberals. So Nationals and then the Liberals. That's what One Nation were doing. And this is the Shooters, Fishers, and Farmers. They've got David Farley preferenced at number 2. There you go. Just thought it'd be interesting to look at that. We'll just go back to the live scenes as well and see what's happening. So a lot more people have actually come in now. You can see the crowd is fairly built up. You've got a lot of mainstream media there as well. I wonder if ABC's made it in. I'll try to find that footage of the ABC and One Nation and the confrontation they had yesterday.
Yeah, let's check out where.
One is my partner's daughter.
Let's just have a look at this clip here.
A big and dangerous mistake to legitimise one nation and to embolden one nation. Here we've had Angus Taylor make a deliberate decision to preference one nation. A big and dangerous mistake to legitimise one nation and to embolden one nation. Here we've had Angus Taylor make a deliberate decision to preference one nation above the independent, which tonight could really be one of the reasons they get across the line. We'll see as the votes come through, but that will be key. And that will legitimise them, and I used the term earlier on in the broadcast, the permission structure. If they are able to win their first lower house seat, that begins the process of legitimising them. And in other electorates where they may run, voters thinking, well, it's happened before, it's normal now. You start normalising something, and in fact, a big and dangerous mistake to legitimise one nation.
Yeah. Look,
and to
ABC, Patricia Cavalis, the ABC are not handling this well already. It's very early on, and you're already seeing they're worried about democracy. They're worried about the fact that people might vote in for one nation for this particular by-election, and it will legitimize them if they win, especially with the preference flows from the Nationals and the Liberals, that it will make them a legitimate party, that more people might vote for them. Can you, like, these people are melting down already, just from the mere fact that there might be a change in Australia's politics, a change that the people in the electorate of Farrer want, and this might be a bad sign for things in the future. We'll just watch that one more time, because you got to listen to the language of how they are portraying this particular opinion.
A big and dangerous mistake to legitimise one nation and to embolden one nation. Here we've had Angus Taylor make a deliberate decision to preference one nation above the independent, which tonight could really be one of the reasons they get across the line. We'll see as the votes come through, but that will be key. And that will legitimise them, and I used the term earlier on in the broadcast, the permission structure. If they are able to win their first lower house seat...
Like, they've got lefty words for all of this as well, the permission structure. The permission structure is literally coming from the people of Farrer, the electorate of Farrer, and the Australian people voting for them. That is the permission structure. People go to the ballot and they vote for the parties and the policies that they like and agree with. There is no... Like, she's talking about the uni-party, what did she call it? Permission structure.
Seat, that begins the process of legitimising them. And in other electorates where they may run, voters thinking, well, it's happened before, it's normal now. You start normalising something, and in fact, a big and dangerous mistake to legitimise.
All right. So you can see ABC is not doing great there with everything that's happening. So this is the camera crew being kicked out yesterday by the One Nation staff from the press conference. Let's have a listen on this one.
Today's question, who exactly is running the One Nation show?
Bye-bye to the ABC.
Pauline Hanson's Chief of Staff, James Ashby, taking it upon himself to boot the ABC from a media event on the eve of the Farrer by-election.
See you later, guys.
Senator Hanson clearly displeased with her advisor's intervention.
Oh, you see. Just there, ABC. Thank you. Yeah, that was told.
The microphone picking up her annoyance. Today's question,
I don't know, like, you know, I've seen the press, like the politicians and different political parties kick out independent media, especially during COVID times. Remember, they really controlled the media that was allowed to speak to them, right? They had their favorites that they would have. So I don't know if it's a betrayal of democracy, as people are making out to be, that One Nation doesn't want to have ABC around. You just saw from the coverage there that we played from the ABC earlier today, that they're very hostile towards One Nation. The mere fact that people are voting for them, and this might set a something in motion where more people in future elections in 2028 also look at One Nation as a viable option, that's a massive issue for the ABC. So it makes sense why James Ashby, in my opinion, didn't want to have the ABC there, or just making a point of not having the ABC around. They do also say that they want to defund the ABC. So if your political policy or the philosophy of your politics is around defunding the ABC, and I'm seeing a lot of your comments as well, people saying to defund the ABC, well, then why would you celebrate the ABC per se? I think the ABC has been a left-wing apparatus that has been working hand in hand with the left-wing parties, but also we're getting an interview, guys. I'm going to be interrupted there. Let's go to the interview. What's happening, Benji? Oh, one second. 1 second, Benji. You're good to go, Topher. You're good to go.
Say when, Rukshan? All right. So the room is filling up as expected. Volunteers, candidates, etc. are pouring into the room. We've got a sea of orange and also a sea of smiles. The results are extremely early. I need to emphasise that. But the degree of lead, even amongst the more regional, smaller seats that are coming in right now, the degree of lead that One Nation are holding is significantly higher than originally expected. The expectation was that the Liberal Party were going to do a lot better than what they are. Racer Butkowski, their candidate, was put into a terribly difficult position trying to follow on the heels of such an unpopular MP in the form of Susan Ley, who led the Liberal Party to an absolute crash. The protest vote is speaking loud and clear against the Liberal Party. As things stand right now, and again, very early days, the Nationals are outpolling the Liberal Party, which is a remarkable result given 25 years of Liberal domination of this seat. But the other thing that needs to be pointed out here is I think it's already fairly clear that the protest vote, that's that 9% that I covered early in the telecast, for those that missed the start of the telecast, last election, 1 year ago, 9% of the voters, there's over 120,000 voters in this seat, 9% of them did not bother to cast a vote. Beg your pardon. That is a higher percentage than is normally expected. Of the ones that voted, a further 9% voted informal. Now, some of that's by accident, but a lot of that is actually on purpose. And that's a remarkably high percentage of informal votes. And that suggests to me that there was a significant protest vote happening 1 year ago in this very same seat. I think that 18% of the electorate that either didn't show up or voted informal have showed up in significant force for One Nation at the moment. Let me just have a look at the screen and try and get the latest figures. We're looking at two-party preferred estimates up around the 75% to 25% range. Now, I do not expect that will be the end result. Let me be clear about that. We've just had another seat come in, Deniliquin North. Deniliquin North has just come in, 55% in favour of the One Nation candidate, David Farley. Now, of course, these are regional seats, Deniliquin, etc. These are regional areas where One Nation are expected to perform well. But here's the brutal mathematical reality that Michelle Milthorpe supporters will be facing. Around about 2/3 of the voters in this electorate live in these regional areas where we're seeing numbers like 55% primary vote for One Nation with a 30-point lead over Michelle Milthorpe. Now, if 2/3 of the voting population of Farrer give David Farley a 30-point lead, that means in order for Michelle Milthorpe to make that back, she would need a 60-point lead amongst the 1/3 of the population that lives in Albury and Griffith and Wagga and some of these other more urban centres. That starts to become, for practical purposes, mathematically impossible. She's not going to be able to have a 60-point lead. In fact, on current evidence, she might not even win in Farrer. It might, in Albury. It might actually be a whitewash across all of the seats. We'll have to wait and see, of course. But I think there's going to be a sinking feeling happening amongst the Michelle Milthorpe camp right now. This is going to cause a lot of soul searching for the Liberal Party. This is an absolute crushing. If they end up around about the single digits or the very low teens, this is going to send a message that the voting public have turned against them in a really significant way. They're not just turning for One Nation, they are turning against the Liberal Party. The Liberal Party can no longer take any seats for granted the way that Susan Ley took this seat for granted for 25 years. The results are genuinely historic. What are we at now? We're only at about 5% counted, so these are still very early days. But what we know from past elections is once that trend is clear amongst a handful of seats, it tends to hold. This sort of a lead is not the sort of lead that you often see being overcome later on in the count. I'm going to wait till 20% have been reported before I actually call it. But I will tell you, the numbers could not possibly look any better than what they do right now. And the vibe in the room is incredibly elevated. And I think we're looking forward to an early decision, an early call, and a really enjoyable night ahead. Back to you, Rukshan.
Thanks, Topher. Thanks, mate. Benji, if you can hear me, just keep it on shot of the room there. Yeah, just keep it on a shot of the room, mate. And people in the comments, people are saying you're moving the cameras a bit too fast, so just keep your movements nice and smooth for the audience, Benji. Try it. I know. Try your best, mate. Thank you. Yeah, thanks, mate. All right, guys, so that was a great cross there from Topher. Gave us really good insight into what's happening right now with the numbers. As you can see, there's a lot more data coming in, and the One Nation candidate, David Farley, as Topher said, is doing really, really well across the board. This is just the first preferences votes that you can see from the ABC website. I'll try to bring you some results from the AEC as well, and try to look at it polling place by polling place if they have that. Let's just try to bring this in. Actually, what I will do is, before we get to that, there's been a few super chats, so let's read the super chats first and we'll continue like that, otherwise it'll build up too much. All right, let's see what all of you guys are saying in the super chats. 14 now. So guys, if you want to join in the conversation and have your comment up on the screen, you can do a super chat. That will be displayed on the screen and we'll discuss what you're saying there as well. So let's have a look. We got one here from Papa Sage, who says, looking forward to the orange wave in the coming Victorian state election. Can we get our own version of Dodge when One Nation kicks Labor out? If any state or any country or any place needs Doge, it is Victoria. We are billions and hundreds of billions of dollars in debt over decades of ruinous leadership by Daniel Andrews and now by Jacinta Allen. So yeah, a Doge would be great to find out where all the money's been funneled to the unions, to CFMEU most likely, and to the, what else was it? The Chinese, the CCP, a great friend of Daniel Andrews. So again, these are the things that people allege. And we've seen a lot of this rorting, especially with the big build projects. A lot of these numbers seem to start, at a few billion, and then they just skyrocket to unimaginable heights that seems to benefit only in one direction. So yeah, great comment, mate. And I would love to see One Nation actually become a force here in Victoria. We saw them at the Nepean by-election. They had, I think that they did pretty good on first preferences. Now people were mocking them and making fun of them for losing. But Mornington is, again, a different type of electorate. Sorry, Nepean is a different type of electorate. And they did lean more towards the Liberals in that electorate. But there was a massive swing towards One Nation. And you can see them replicating that, like you're seeing here in Farah, in perhaps some of the more regional outside regions of the Victorian state during the election and picking up some seats. Comment here from Daniel James. Thanks, mate. You've earned it, mate. Welcome aboard. And that's towards me. I'll try to get that $3 from Avi Yemeni somehow. That's for me joining Rebel News Australia officially. $20 super chat here from Budkeen. I'm so bad at reading YouTube names, but it says Budkeen Gan. All right. American expat here, arrived in 2000. Welcome to Australia. Proud naturalized Aussie, of course. Just got my One Nation membership card last week. Big Topher and Carl's fan. I love Australia. May love to see those comments. I'm saying welcome to Australia, but you are very much a part of the Western Hemisphere as an American. You're already almost there as an Aussie until you come here and, of course, adopt some of the Aussie values. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the contribution. And Carl's and Topher, if you guys haven't been following, you can follow them on the Oddcast. They do have a podcast. Oh, someone's Oh, someone's watching live. I gotta keep an eye. I got like, if you can see my workstation, maybe I can show you with one of the cameras. I've got like 10 screens in front of me, looking at different things and trying to keep it all together. While Avi Yemeni's out there probably having a drink and enjoying life, me, Topher, and Benji, we're working hard. Next super chat. This is from Hako. Thank you for the super chat, mate. Love your work, Rukshan, mate. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate the support. I was just saying before I got distracted there. Give a follow to Topher Field. He's doing a great job out there, bringing us live coverage of... Let me just get rid of this actually from the screen so you can see people as well. Benji's getting some good shots of the people that are there. Yeah, you can follow Topher Field at Topher Field. And Topher and Carl's also have the Oddcast, so you can follow them, the Oddies. I know some of the Oddies are watching there. Great shot there. People, patriotic, Australian-loving individuals there with the flag. It's great to see that there is a rise in patriotism in Australia, mostly driven by One Nation and Pauline Hanson. When you look at politics per se, we've had a long time where Australian identity, Australian nationalism, even the flag, the anthem, all these things have been disregarded as things that you wouldn't want to talk about during election time because you might offend the wrong people. But it's really changed it up now with One Nation and really bringing that Aussie spirit to the forefront of elections. And again, we are in Australia. This is what it's about. Yes, we do live in a nation where they bring back ISIS prides to the country, and you see these crazy scenes at the airport where they're yelling at reporters and stuff and calling them profanities. We have this, almost two countries in one, if you think about it. But at the heart of it, there are many, many people that love Australia, that support this country, that love the flag. Many people from all types of backgrounds, people like me that, you might get a bad rap these days when people are talking about immigration, but I'm a true blue Aussie. I love this country, and I'm very proud to see people like this with the Australian flag and really thinking about the future of this country. Next super chat here, we've got one from Thomas. Mate, good to see you on here. Seeing you on the other live streams as well. Huge respect, Rukshan, for the great job you're doing coordinating and running the show. The ABC 1 billion funding should be going to you and Avi. Appreciate and thankful for your work, mate. Well done. I mean, yeah, I think people should be able to direct their taxes. If they want to make people pay for media, why does it have to be towards the ABC? It doesn't benefit everyone. Like, yeah, sure, there's some people that probably support the ABC, but these days it should be subscription based. Let people decide if they want to support the ABC. I'm not a massive fan of it. I think the ABC should just strictly be news. It should strictly cover elections and these kind of things in very close detail. One of the things I've noticed throughout the years watching ABC coverage is that they'll only ever focus on the major parties. This is different now with One Nation and what's happening here in Farah. But they normally only focus on the major parties and then the left-wing parties, the Teals and the Socialists. They give them a platform. But I've seen multiple times during a number of decades now, the smaller parties, they will write stories about them to discredit them, but they'll never give the candidates a platform, won't make them part of debates or bring them onto their shows and things like this. It's very much centered towards pushing the uni party and pushing left-wing parties. So yeah, if people want to decide to send their money somewhere else other than the ABC, like to the Rebel News Australia, you can support Rebel News Australia, guys. There's a QR code there. If you want to get some merch from the Rebel News store, you can do that. Just scan the QR code. But there's many ways to support Rebel News Australia and what we do as alternative media by changing things up and bringing everyone else into the conversation as well. So thanks for the super chat, guys. Appreciate it. We got another one from Carly Unfiltered Official. How you doing, Carly? Good to see you. You're doing an amazing job, Brooke. Got your back. Thank you, Carly. We got here from Rick Chat Go David. And we got another one here from Scott Cookie. Any thought on it? Farley will jump. Any thoughts on if Farley will jump ship within the year of winning? Also, please tell Topher Wagga isn't in Farah. I'll try to let Topher know. Look, a lot of people have been saying that people join One Nation and then they'll this because this happened historically with some of the candidates, and after they win, they might become independent or form their own party or whatever it is. All these things are a possibility always in politics. You can never tell in politics, especially when you're dealing with a smaller minor party. But what we've been seeing is the One Nation leadership group. I've seen in Victoria firsthand over the last couple of years, there's a structure that's being built there. One Nation for a long time has been Pauline Hanson. When you say One Nation, you think Pauline Hanson. And at some point, Pauline Hanson is the figurehead. She's the face of One Nation, much like Donald Trump is the face of something like the MAGA movement, for instance. People, when you build structures, when you build, a team, when you build volunteers, when you build a membership base, you can create that into something bigger than just an individual. And it's going to be very hard to be bigger than Pauline Hanson, for sure. She is one of these figures who's been in political discussions for decades and decades, right? 30 years, I think since 1996. So coming on 30 years. But you can have the impact of a newer generation of people coming in via a third party and changing the game. And, when you have that type of momentum, it's less likely people might defect or form their own parties and things like this. They can work within the party structure potentially and do something from there. So I think it's good to have people in a political party that have different opposing views that might question the views of their leader sometimes as well. Like you need a little bit of this. And, even on policies, they might differ a little bit. Like for Farah, obviously, David Farley is resonating with the locals in Farah. So his policies, the way he speaks about issues are more geared towards the people he's representing, which makes sense. This is not just about national politics. People want to talk about immigration a lot. They want to talk about all these national issues. Well, there's issues within Farah itself that the electorate's thinking about. And that's why when you have local candidates, people from the region, they represent some of those views as well. It might clash a little bit with the overarching political discussions that we have as a nation. And that's why you get a bit of tension sometimes within political parties. So I don't think it's a major deal. But obviously people will make a big deal of someone jumping ship after they win. And what they say about David Farley is that previously he's, thought about joining the Teals, or he's thought about or ran with Labor, or he's wanted to run with Labor or the Liberals or whatever. So this is why people have these type of views. Let's do the next super chat, guys. Thank you for that question, Scott. We got one here from Luke Gordon. It's a classic CCP inspired profile picture there. Go One Nation. Grats on joining Rebel Newsroom. Thank you. Another one, super chat from Spooky Yandi says, you, Rukshan, and orange love hearts for the orange wave that we're seeing. Go One Nation. Amazing. Baz the Dark Horse, we love you, Rook. You're making a difference. God bless you, mate. Thank you for always being on our streams. Appreciate the support, Baz. Love you as well, mate. And then we got here from Stephen. I am, you are, we are Australian. For sure. I mean, that's the way it's got to be. That's the only way you can have a country. If the basic premise of a nation has to be the recognition of the fact that you are a part of that nation. You are an Australian. Like that's why I'm massive on being very openly saying that I'm an Australian, because if you are in this country, even as someone with an immigrant heritage, and you are like, I don't belong here, then what are you doing in this country? Like you have to be a part of the fabric of this country. And yes, it's going to take a lot of different people, and it's going to offend some people sometimes. And yes, there's going to be debates about what is an Australian, what is Australian identity. But you have to take a lead, even if it's not pretty sometimes. The things that people say to me, it's not nice sometimes. The things that people say to me, but that doesn't matter, because overall, I know as an individual the opportunities that I've received from being in Australia, being an Australian. So it's very important. I believe in that very much, that you have to give back. Let's just cut to this, what's happening on the screen, then we'll come back to your super chats after this.
River Feast.
It'll happen with the percentage been counted.
All right, let's continue on with the super chats. I'll just move this out of the way. Auditing Australia, thank you for the super chat. You said, pick on his driving, pick on his camera work, leave Benji alone, you bullies. He doesn't tell you how to report. Benji deserves a pay rise. Avi, are you listening? Oh, we got a shot there of Barnaby Joyce. Let's cross in here. Is it Barnaby Joyce? Malcolm Roberts.
Yeah, he'll do the announcement.
James Ashby there. We've got the entourage arriving, it looks like.
Yep. You'll hear it. You'll hear it.
Let's just leave it on this, guys. We'd rather watch this than listening to me. Benji's got the paparazzi light on there. So a bit of security there as well. So it looks like more of the One Nation brass has arrived.
Roxanne, tell me this, if I should go to the stage or stick with them.
You can stick with them, man. Sorry, Benji's just talking to me, guys. I'm just talking to Benji on the phone. Actually, Benji, just go to the stage. It's fine. Go to the stage.
They all came for you as well. They came for you, they came for our candidates, but by God, they came for you. We saw it. They were shaking in their boots, they're scared of us. They hate us because they hate us. That's what's going on. That's why they're in our face, because they're shaking in our boots, because they're scared. They're scared of what we mean, because they're scared that we're here to break it up, to take the country back, and that's not what they want. I've never been around a more patriotic group of people. The last 24 hours there's been so much positivity, and we need to keep it up, because tonight we've got everyone here. The whole federal team is here, guys, so put your hands together. We've got it here. The whole country is watching. The whole country is watching. So ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the whole federal team. We've got Senator Sean Bell. Pauline Hanson is here! And the new member for Farah, David Farley!
drop the commercial music there a little bit, guys, but you can see the members of One Nation coming in. You've got the federal senators there. Simon Bell. I'll cut back to the audio when they're speaking. Pauline Hanson coming in there with David Farley, the candidate for Farrer by-election. Just drop the volume a little bit, guys, because yeah, unfortunately commercial music gets struck off and we might lose the stream, so we got to be careful. We will come back to when they're speaking with the louder audience, but you can see the visuals there. David Farley there being embraced by the One Nation supporters as he's walking in with One Nation leader Pauline Hanson, and you got the whole federal team there as well. There's Senator Hanson there embracing one of the volunteers, it looks like. It's a very electric atmosphere at the One Nation after party here. We've got Senator Malcolm Roberts there as well. And there's David Farley coming in. Great shots from Benji. Great positioning, Benji. All right, guys, I'm going to cut the music there. But as you can see, very electric atmosphere there at the venue as the One Nation, a federal team comes in there with David Farley. We'll just we'll look at some of these scenes and let it play out. I'm sure you guys want to watch what's happening here as well, if you, especially if you're a One Nation supporter that couldn't have made it down here. I'm sure we'll be hearing from them all at later points of the night. And we'll bring all of that live to you here on Rebel News Australia. Thank you for joining for this live stream. We might cross over to Topher in a little bit as well, just to get an idea of the atmosphere there and his thoughts from on the ground. And for those of you joining on, we've got a few thousand people who have joined into the stream, so hope you guys are enjoying the stream. We've been streaming now for about at least 1.5 hours. We'll try to get Topher. Benji, if you're listening, see if you can see Topher and we can get him to give us a bit of an update there from on the ground. Let's have a listen in.
Okay.
Yeah, let him go.
I can't hear him. Tell me when. I tell you what, Rukshan, my ears are bleeding, but this is a very, very happy room, bleeding ears or not. Now, let's be honest, the count is still in its relatively early stages, but the further through we go, the less and less of a mathematical possibility there is for Michelle Milthorpe to make a comeback. What's quite significant, I believe, Michelle Milthorpe has made some gains in Albury. We've had one of the Albury seats. The results have come in. She made some gains in the single digits, but in the exact same place, One Nation made gains in the double digits, in the mid-teens. And so when you have a situation where even where Michelle Milthorpe has gained ground as compared to the last election, where One Nation is still doing very, very well, it becomes mathematically almost impossible for Michelle to be able to claw that gap back. The one last wrinkle that needs to be watched out for is the possibility, however remote it is, that either the Liberal or the National Party might get over the top of Michelle Milthorpe. Again, pretty much a mathematical impossibility at this point in time, but that now really is the only pathway for One Nation to not take this seat in a historic win, a first for One Nation, a lower house federal seat. This looks to be as close to in the bag as you could possibly hope for, but of course you can never absolutely take it for granted. We have the candidate David Farley just over my shoulder here. I will of course be asking him for an interview, so maybe stick with us, Rukshan. It's going to be messy, there's media everywhere, but try and stick with us. I'll try and get a first exclusive conversation with candidate David Farley.
Thanks so far.
David, can I talk to you for Rebel News for just a moment? This is our camera here. David Farley, the candidate for One Nation, how are you feeling? Let's be honest, the count is not over, but at the same time, it couldn't be going much better.
Look, there's a great air of confidence. We had a great campaign. We had a great team of people behind us, volunteers and professionals. We know the subject matter of Farah. We understand the engine room. We understand the maths of Farah. We feel confident. You know, the count's not in yet, but the count's looking good. Thank you.
It couldn't be looking much better. What does this mean in another year and a half when we're going into a national election? Do you think this sort of momentum can carry through?
Yeah, look, for One Nation, it's reached the end of its beginning. This is a whole new world for One Nation. There's a lot of people, a lot of my peers and younger who want to come in and be part of One Nation. So I think it'll be a magnet to attract good quality people. The people of Farah have spoken, and I think they're speaking the same language that the rest of Australia will speak. They want change, they want accountability, and they want responsibility, but more importantly, they want their country back.
David, congratulations, thank you so much. That was David Farah, the One Nation candidate here in... David Farley, excuse me, the One Nation, beg your pardon, candidate here in Farah. Benji, come towards me, mate. Oh, yeah.
How are you?
He's a man in demand, David Farley is very much a man in demand. I got to tell you, it is chaotic in here. I got to apologise earlier. I kept saying Wagga was inside the seat of Farah. Of course, it isn't. But I cannot convey to you how chaotic this is. I can barely hear myself shouting into the microphone. My brain is scattered. The music was playing so loud earlier. I think it's going to take me a week for my ears to recover. There is genuinely no other room that you would want to be in Australia right now. The eyes of the whole country are tuned in thanks to all of the different news networks and, of course, thanks to Rebel News that are bringing you this coverage. We've already had a chat with David Farley. We were the first in the media to be able to have a chat with David Farley, and I'm certainly going to be trying to get to all of the other One Nation elected politicians as well as some other people that I think have some valuable insight into the historic nature of what is unfolding in front of us. Again, it's not over. I have to keep reminding you of that because that's a fact. It's not over. But it doesn't have to get much further into the night before it will be over, just simply due to the mathematics not working out for Michelle Milthorpe at all at this point in time. Rukshan, I'm going to hand back to you and try and preserve what's left of my voice for a few more interviews a little later in the day.
Thanks, mate. That was Topher coming to us live from the One Nation after party in the electorate of Farah. Guys, great job that Topher's doing. I think we got one of the first interviews there with David Farley, and we just witnessed, obviously, the entire One Nation federal team coming in with Senator Hanson as well. I will just bring up some of these results as well in a second, and keep doing your super chats while we're waiting for more people to speak from the lectern. I'm sure people will be speaking as the night progresses and the results become clearer. Again, a shout out to Topher. He's doing an amazing job for Rebel News, collaborating with us from the Topher Field project. If you guys are new to Topher, I'm just going to go to his social media page so you can give him a follow, because he's just doing such a great job helping us out with the coverage. As Avi, lazy Avi, where is Avi? Nowhere to be seen. Benji and myself and Topher are now the A team, bringing it to you guys, while Avi is probably chilling out, relaxing, watching this, having a good old time, laughing at us and laughing at me struggling to keep everything intact and going. So let's have a look at Topher. I'll just bring up his social media so you can have a look at. If you're new to him, I know he's already streaming on his channels as well. This is a cross stream. We're streaming across multiple platforms. But if you're not following Topher Field, I recommend you give him a follow on X. But on Facebook, he's everywhere. On YouTube, at Topher Field. You can give him a follow there and listen to his great commentary that he does. Thanks again, mate. We'll probably cross over to him soon again. Now, let's just go back to that room.
That's okay.
I might just leave it on here to give people an idea of what's happening, and then line up some reactions from online.
Hello gang, Pauline Hanson. It seems like congratulations. How you feeling these early numbers? Do nothing but anything you hope for.
So Pauline's just there. We can't really hear the audio because it's going straight to Sky News, but she's just doing an interview there with Paul Murray from Sky News. I'm just going to cut the audio because there's just too much commercial music coming through. But we'll let the visuals play out there while I find what else we can discuss about. So let's have a look at the public reactions to what's happening in Farah right now. I'll just go to X and we'll look up the latest of what people are saying. We've got here Peter Pollers saying, Farah formerly the Tim Fisher's old seat, then a Liberal seat under Susan Ley. Now it's gone overwhelmingly One Nation. Absolute political bloodbath. That is what it's looking like. One Nation, this is 6 News Australia, Leo predicting, 6 News projects One Nation will win a House representative seat. So they're projecting very early, 6 News AU. 6 News projects One Nation will win a House of representative seat for the first time, defeating Liberals in tonight's Farah by-election. David Farley leads independent candidate Michelle Millthorpe with a 2-candidate preferred vote of 60% to 40%. So 6 News AU has called it for David Farley. Again, we'll just keep looking at what the other reactions online are. We might get some left-wing reactions as well. We've got here Jason saying, looks like Farah said, up yours to the Labor Liberal Uni Party. A vote for One Nation Australia is a vote for the comfortable Uni Party who think Australian voters serve them against the Uni Party. Yep. Ross Cameron here says, One Nation will win Farah by-election. David Farley, Pauline Hanson plus 41% on the primary. Michelle Millthorpe, Climate 200, he's saying in commas because that's the allegation that she's being funded by these Climate 200 people. It says plus 27% on the primary. Liberal Australia, 10% primary, and the Nationals, 10%. Gut punch to the coalition. I mean, yeah, it is a moment of reckoning for the coalition for sure. It would be embarrassing for them. This is a blue ribbon Liberal Party coalition seat since 1949. No other party besides the Liberals or the Nationals, the coalition, has ever held this seat of Farah. And now it's gone to One Nation. So this signifies, for what many of us have said, the shift in politics in Australia, in the Conservative movement at least, towards parties more like One Nation, and the rise of One Nation is being solidified and, shown to be not just a one-time, bluff that happened in South Australia, let's say, or even the results that we saw recently in Nepean, where One Nation did have a high primary preference vote. We're seeing them actually solidify and gain a seat off the Liberals that they've held since 1949. So a massive achievement based on what we're seeing in the numbers right now. Let's have a look in what's happening on the scene.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry.
That's a stressful.
You're good at it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good job.
Pauline, I know you're trying to get out of the room. Do you have a minute? Do you have 1 minute? We've got Pauline Hanson. Rukshan, I hope you're fast on the fingers and you've crossed. Pauline, it's not over, that has to be said. But how does this feel for you?
You know what, I'm a bit shaky about it, but nervous. This is 30 years. This will be the first lower house seat that we've won under One Nation, and the numbers are looking good, but it's not over yet till the final votes counted. And I get that, I understand it. It's not only a win for Pauline Hanson and the party, it's a win for the people of Australia. And that's what I intend to fight back every step of the way, to give the country back to the people that feel forgotten.
Yeah, that's very true. It's not a win for Pauline Hanson, but there's been tremendous personal sacrifice, and there must be tremendous personal pride in this moment. What's going to be going through, assuming this result holds the way it's looking, what's going to be going through your mind when your head hits the pillow tonight?
I'm going to be looking back at my achievements over the years, and and I've had my ups and downs by all means, like a lot of people have. But I'm going to look at it with pride in the people that have trusted us to give us their vote, and then I know our job has really started now to prove to the people their vote is not wasted. So it starts with Farah. Yeah.
Well, Senator Pauline Hanson, I'll let you go, but thank you so much and congratulations. Alrighty. That was Senator Pauline Hanson coming to us. I'm going to continue to try and get more interviews. I cannot begin to tell you how crushed this is. There's a lot of security here, of course. That's a good thing to see in a moment like this. And everyone's doing a great job tonight. The facility, the staff have been fantastic. But we have to try and navigate quite a crush. There's a very, very euphoric atmosphere is beginning to kick in as that vote starts to head towards the 20% plus mark counted. Well, you start to think a 15 percentage point lead for One Nation at this point. It's probably insurmountable. It's technically still could come back, but it starts to look very, very unlikely. So I think people are beginning to relax. Certainly the drinks are flowing fairly freely and justifiably so. This is a room full of people that have worked incredibly hard. There you go, it's been called. Sky News have called it as a One Nation win. It's hard to see it going any other way. I personally would have waited a little while longer, but I think that's fair at this point in time, that we have a new federal MP. His name is David Farley. He has won for One Nation in the seat of Farah, but this is far more significant than just what's happening here in this one federal seat. Many people will try and argue, oh, it's just one seat, they haven't formed government, it doesn't matter. No, what this is a breakthrough at a federal level, the first lower house seat for One Nation in its history since the 90s. And what this also is further confirmation that what the opinion polls have been telling us about the rise of One Nation is actually coming true. We saw that first in the South Australia state election, where they polled pretty well exactly where the opinion polls said they should. We got it again last week at the Nepean by-election in Victoria, where again they polled bang on what the statewide average is expected to be for One Nation. Tonight, 1 week later, they've actually gone even better. On current figures, they are looking to be well ahead of where the polls actually predicted that they would be. I suspect that a big part of that is what I prefaced very early in this telecast. I think when we get the final numbers, which will take a little while, but in a couple of weeks I'll bring you a video talking about the final numbers, and I believe what we'll see is an increase in turnout. 9% of people did not vote 1 year ago in the Farah election. I believe that number will be lower this year. Of the people who voted, 9% voted informal 1 year ago. I believe that number will also be lower in this particular election. I think more people will have showed up, more people will have taken their vote seriously, and I think most of that cohort of people have thrown their support behind One Nation. And I think that's why what we're seeing right now in Farrer is actually One Nation performing above where the polls would have led you to expect. It's a fantastic result for the party. In my personal opinion, I think it's a fantastic result for Australia. Whatever you may think of the One Nation policies, and personally, I'm a libertarian, so I have points of disagreement. But what we need in Australia, in my view right now, is a battering ram to break down the uniparty hold on our politics in this country, and that is exactly what we've seen here tonight. I guarantee you, all over this country, there will be Liberal Party, National Party and Labor Party power brokers and heavyweights calling each other in a panic. The group chats will be going absolutely nuts. In the back room, the bean counters will be calculating how much of a financial hit these parties are going to take should One Nation's rise continue into the Victorian state election, into the next federal election. This is a business after all, let's not forget that. This has massive implications not only for our House of Parliament, but actually for the very existence of some of these political parties. Now, I'm not saying that the Liberal Party are going to cease to exist, nor the Nationals, but on current numbers, the LNP combined are on 20% in the seat of Farrer. This is a Conservative seat where they have historically held it. The Liberals have held it for 25 years. Before that, the Nationals held it for a very long time. The thought that one of those two parties hasn't won is already extraordinary. The thought that they're not even in second place is an earthquake. The fact that combined they barely add up to 20% of the primary vote, this is going to be sending people in positions of power around this country into meltdown. This is a shot over the bows of Jess Wilson and her choice to say a little while ago down in Victoria that the Victorian Liberal Party would not preference One Nation. Now, I don't expect that was actually true. I think she was shooting from the hip. And of course, those decisions get made by far more than just the party leader. But if she thinks that she can make a dent into the Victorian Labor Party without working alongside One Nation, this result in Farrer will tell her clearly to think again. If the federal Liberal National Party were considering maybe not working with One Nation at the next federal election, which is about 18 months or so away, up to 2 years away, if they were thinking that they could perhaps defeat Albanese without working alongside One Nation, this result in Farrer tells them very, very clearly they need to think again. I think the momentum shift that is now evident, it is now undeniable. For so long, over the last year, at first we watched the polls rising and we heard cynics telling us that it was just protest polling. It wouldn't translate on election day. Well, how about South Australia? How about Nepean? And lastly, Rukshan, how about Farrer? It is now a One Nation held seat in the seat of Farrer. David Farley is a tremendous weight on his shoulders. He has to take a leadership role and learn very, very quickly. He has to be ready alongside Barnaby Joyce. And of course, if rumours are true, then perhaps even Senator Pauline Hanson stepping down and competing in the lower house. Assuming they all get elected, those three will have the responsibility on their shoulders from the next federal election onwards to train all the newcomers. And there will be a lot of newcomers coming in as federal members of parliament, for One Nation. And that's going to be a wonderful thing for the party, and I think it'll be a wonderful thing for the country. But they will, by definition, be new. They will be inexperienced, unless, of course, there are some defectors and I expect some defections will happen now after this result here in Farrer. So there's a tremendous responsibility on the candidate, David Farley. He has an enormous amount of work to do. I've spoken with him numerous times personally, and I can tell you that he takes that responsibility very, very seriously. He is going to be going in there for the purpose of learning from Barnaby Joyce and from others, and then passing those learnings on to all the newcomers that will be coming in 2028. Because this is a party whose ambition was not to win a lower house federal seat. Their ambition is to be able to form government. Their haters like to say that they don't actually want to form government. They wouldn't know what to do with it if they actually ever got there. Well, I can tell you behind the scenes, this is a very, very serious party who are serious about forming government. Now, of course, none of us can predict which election that might happen in. That's up to the Australian people. But on the current situation that we're watching unfold here in Farrer tonight, I would say that if it's not at the very next election, certainly they will be in a position to offer themselves, the One Nation Party, to offer themselves as a genuine alternative government within 1 or 2 elections after that point in time. This is a change in the Australian political landscape, the like of which we haven't seen since Menzies launched the Liberal Party. It's hard for us to imagine what was Australian politics like before we had the two-party system. Well, tonight's a reminder, we don't have a two-party system. What we've had is a two-party electorate. We've had two-party voters. Now, we've remembered that actually the system isn't two-party at all, and the voters have decided to give a third party a genuine chance. This is something that we expect to see happen Australia-wide coming in the next few years. I'm personally thrilled to see it. I'm thrilled to see what I believe is really the beginning of the end of the uniparty, the Liberal National Party has some serious soul-searching to do, and the bean counters have their work cut out for them, because we might actually see the end of some political parties in the next decade or so. The ones that used to be a part of the two-party system, that used to be the ones that would always be there forever. Well, we forgot that they weren't always there forever, and what we're learning is that they don't have to always be there forever either. Rukshan, back to you. I think we're pretty close to winding up the night. There will be some speeches a little bit later on, but I can tell you I'm really quite pleased that it's an early night, because I wouldn't mind a cigar and some whiskey after a night like this. Back to you, Rukshan.
Thank you, Topher. Thank you. I think, yeah, definitely, guys. Topher needs to go get a drink, something stiff as well, because I don't know how he spoke that long. That was a great monologue there from Topher, and he really brought it in. I'm sure many of you had paid attention to that. If you're just joining in, One Nation has been declared the winner by Sky News and some other media outlets as well. So I'll be bringing you some coverage and reactions from different people online, and maybe we'll cross over to the ABC. Let's actually have a look at the ABC. We want to see how the ABC is doing. Let's have a look. So there you go, Sky News there. One Nation wins Farah, so they've called it. But based on what Topher was saying, on the numbers, it becomes mathematically impossible there for the Independent to get up, and even more impossible for the coalition, of course, the Nationals overall. So let's just have a look at this ABC and see how they're reacting to all of this. Got to bring in the audio, don't we?
In these single digits on the primary vote. So it can go lower. We've seen it happen.
At a federal level, Casey, I was
At a federal
correct.
level, but not just that. Farah is the seat where the foundations of the Liberal Party were drawn up by Robert Menzies. You know, this is the seat more recently of their former leader, Susan Lee. For a seat like that, to have a number like that is extraordinary.
It is indeed. And yet, somehow, it's the sideshow of the evening. So many stories we're unpacking here, but this number here, 42.2%, which is now really starting to settle down. Michelle
Patricia doesn't look very happy. Let's look at Patricia's face for a little bit. She was, we'll play that video again from earlier in the day where she was talking about how this will give people...
But let me show you Albury and the booths that we are now getting some preference counts in. And Michelle Millthorpe is winning them, 53, 54, 55, 51% of the vote. But let me pick one at random, the seat of the booth of Hume, you know, these other smaller ones. But Michelle Millthorpe is winning them with a swing against her. We're seeing the same in Springdale Heights. I think we saw this one earlier, but a swing against her. We're seeing the same thing.
Until Topher gets another interview, guys, I think what we'll do is there's so many super chats that have come in over the last 20 or so minutes that I want to get through the super chats as well. So thank you for your contributions. You can super chat to us on any of the platforms that you're watching on, especially YouTube. Let's just have a look at the chats. Just got to catch up now. Got carried away there watching One Nation win. I've seen a lot of the comments. Everyone is very excited about what they've witnessed here tonight. Historic in many regards. So let's see what everyone on the super chat is saying. Okay, got to catch up. There's a lot. Here we go. This is from Cruel Intentions. Thanks for super chat, mate. You're saying, Holla Rebel Rook, see that Joenta is there as a volunteer. Get Topher to interview her. She is a bloody legend. We got here from the other side by, thanks for the super chat. Aussie watching from Minsk, Belarus. One Nation leading the by-election count. Australians are demanding real change. The old system is failing ordinary people. And that is what we're seeing. Obviously, this super chat came in a little while ago. One Nation has been declared the winner by some mainstream outlets. That is what you're seeing. People are rejecting the Uniparty in Australia, especially when you consider that this has been in Liberal hands since 1949 in some variation with the coalition hands. Baz the Dark Horse, thanks for the super chat. I wish Pauline Hanson was as right-wing as they fear. Great comment, because they do play her up a lot more, but she is quite moderate in a lot of her views, if you ask me. Darren Kenny says, love your work, Rukshan. Keep being a rebel. Thanks for the super chat, mate. Thank you for the contribution. Found Hope, chat, hey, mate, with 10 screens. Are you Rebel News AI Plus? Diversity hire. Keep up the great work. Oh, there's an interview happening.
This will be fine. What was your seat? Hunter. Alrighty, Rukshan, I have Stuart Bonds with me. He's been a campaigner for One Nation in the seat of Hunter. He's made the trek all the way down to Farah to be a part of tonight. Unfortunately, none of your campaigns have been successful yet, but are you catching that winning feeling?
Look, mate, we're living a historic moment. I mean, it's the first lower house seat that we've won. I mean, we made history in South Australia. They said we couldn't win a seat outside of Queensland. We won seats. They said we couldn't win a lower house seat. We won multiple in South Australia. And federally, we just completely decimated the Liberal Party, the National Party. I mean, combined, they're not even half of the vote currently. I mean, that could change, but at the moment, complete wipeout.
This, I think, is the real story of the night, is one, the rise of One Nation, but the utter collapse of the Liberal Party vote especially, given that they held this seat up until literally just a few months ago. Do you think that this will unfold Australia-wide, or is this a somewhat unique to Farah dynamic?
No, I mean, everywhere that we've been running recently, Nepean, South Australia, it's all confirmed that the polling is right. This is the first specific rural seat that's been done, and it's shown that the polling was actually wrong, and wrong in the right way for us, which, if I had to look into that, I would say that the polling's mainly been done in the major towns, right, because it looks like that's probably about right. But in the more rural areas, we've completely decimated. Some polls there's over 50% of the vote. So
one of the things that strikes me is that the seat of Gindera, which is actually Michelle Millthorpe's own seat, she didn't actually manage to beat out the One Nation candidate in her own seat.
Yep.
Now, it's difficult, it's dangerous to read too much into a single result, and of course in the euphoria of a moment like this, we can get a bit ahead of ourselves. What is the work? You've been on the inside of One Nation for a little while, you've run as a candidate. What is the path ahead for the party to actually be ready to perhaps start taking on a major party role rather than a minor party role in less than 2 years' time?
Look, that all started with the branch structures that they're putting forward. I mean, we got work to do there, but we are doing it. There's a lot happening of building the base of this pyramid. I mean, we've got the executives are doing their jobs. I mean, clearly, the executive in South Australia did an amazing job. You've got Warren Pickering down there in Victoria. They're ready to go down there. They're particularly off the nose down there, the Labor Party. There could be a complete wipeout, you know. There's no good news on the horizon for these major parties, you know. Repetitive interest rate increases, inflation, spending, corruption, mate, no good news at all.
I think it's telling that the Labor Party chose not to even run a candidate, and even so, Michelle Millthorpe, the Labor proxy, is being resoundingly thumped. Talking about Victoria, are people like you going to make the trek down there for the state election as well?
Oh, absolutely. I'll be down there. This is a story. We're living through something that hasn't happened for 130 years. Right? These two major parties have been so dominant, and everyone has said you'll never win a lower house seat. Right? That's going to be a problem. You might get some representation in the Senate. Well, look where we are now. Barnaby Joyce, heavy hitter in there. He's been the buy of the century, right? Amazing. If this was baseball, mate, he's the buy of the century. He's come over at the right time. He's helped legitimise the party, build the party, and now we've got Farley in here. There's Mr. Farley right here. Congratulations,
What a win, eh?
What a win. Unbelievable.
The question I had for Stuart was, is the winning feeling contagious? Do you think this is going to be contagious to other seats?
Definitely. It's going to inspire, promote, and encourage and make people commit to their democracy. They can see that you can do it now. It's not about nepotism anymore. It's not about family. It's not about who you know. It's about what you can commit. Now, the people are focusing on what they can give Australia, not what they're taking from it.
And Dave, you were running against everyone. They may have preferenced you with on the cards, the Liberals and the Nats, but they ran smear campaign that's never been seen.
Well, it was like playing water polo in the sewer, but we got through it.
Very good, David. We'll let you go. And that was Stuart Bonds reporting for Rebel News.
Thanks, guys.
Back to you, Rukshan, in the studio.
Thanks, mate. Thank you. Great interview. Great to hear that again there from the winning candidate now, we can say David Farley. So he has been declared the winner. Topher's still walking around there with the microphone, so I won't get too much into it. I'll keep an eye out if he does cross over to speak to someone else. We want to get to that straight away. Let's have a listen in.
Lucky you moved up here, mate.
Yeah, I know. I'll tell you what. Have you seen Barnaby recently?
Nah, he's just touring around talking to people. Let's keep doing the super chats, guys, because there's a lot to get through. I want to get to all these super chats. I'm appreciative, as is the Rebel News team and Topher and everyone else that's doing this production today, of the super chats and the contributions that you guys are making as well. But also, we're very appreciative of the thousands of people who have joined in tonight for this live stream. We've got, I think, close to 10,000 people, if you add up numbers across multiple different platforms, watching in and tuning in live. So that's great to see. We love to challenge the mainstream media. It's great having alternative media options out there, and something like this as well. I keep harping on about it, but I think this is the future of media, where we can see your comments, where we can interact, where you guys can be a part of the conversation. So let's get to some more of these super chats. Oh, we got an interview here. Let's look. There's going to be a bit of back and forth, guys. So let's just let's see what happens happening here.
You good? Alrighty, Rukshan, I have with me Emma Hicks. Now, Emma, you ran for the One Nation Party a year ago in the general federal election. You scored 6.6%, which was pretty well on the average, so you did well. You held your end of the bargain. But you also laid the foundation. Let's be, not just you, of course, yourself with all the volunteers and everyone else, but also think about how many elections have been run, how many candidates have put themselves forward, how many volunteers have gotten around them. Tell us, from the perspective of the person who was almost in the big chair, but missed it by 1 year, is this bittersweet or is it still a thrill?
This is an absolute thrill, Topher, absolute thrill. When we think about it, it's all about the country. It's not about me. It's not about David. It's all about Australia, getting Australia back on track. And that's the most important thing here. Sure, I laid the foundations. I've been keeping One Nation relevant. We know that. However, it's all about the country.
I'm just looking to try and see the current latest. I can't quite see it. I couldn't help but notice that Michelle Milthorpe lost in Jindera, which is her own home seat. So even in Jindera, they decided that One Nation and David Farley was the better option. What are your thoughts? You get around, you've been on the ground, you spend a lot of time with volunteers, you are a volunteer yourself. What does this mean to the people that do the groundwork, that ground game that every single political party needs? For so long, it's been a thankless task. What does this mean?
This is very exciting. All the volunteers are very happy. I've been getting phone calls from people, from volunteers and scrutineers. One particular scrutineer, I'll mention her name, Tanya. She called me up from a small booth up north, and there's only 265 in town, and David scored 117 votes out of the whole lot, and Milthorpe 59.
Yeah, it's quite historic. But there's a mountain to climb, isn't there? Because we've got state elections. We've got a Victorian state election coming up very soon. Then there is a New South Wales one. Then there is a federal one. There must be more votes must be coming in. People are going crazy behind us. And they've got to do a branch structure. They've got to find presidents and treasurers and secretaries, as well as candidates, and then all the other people. This is a mountain to climb. Do you believe that a historic win like this is the momentum that One Nation need to get those people?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, definitely, Topher. At the end of the day, for us to win Farah, that gives people so much more confidence, so much more drive to go ahead and want to put their hand up to run. And if you've got a desire to run for One Nation, go ahead and apply and put your hand up. If you believe you've got what it takes to stand up for your state or for your country, go for it.
Well, I tell you, I'm going to let you go and have a listen to this.
Well, that was fast. Boy, that was fast! The people of Farah have spoken. They want change, and they want it now! Wowee! There are so many smiles in this room, and for good reason. For once, or for at least the last last 25 years, you have a party who cares about this country, is optimistic about its future, and cares about its people. This is history. What tonight is history. I've been fortunate to travel around the country with Senator Hanson when we made the film, the Super Progressive movie. And I've got to say, at every step of the way, every decision they always make, it goes through the matrix of, is this in the best interests of the country? And is this what the people want? Tonight's result is not about the party. It's not about politics. For once, it's about you. It's about the people, and it's about this country that we love. This is the only party that dares to love this country. And when you love this country, you make better decisions for her. No one who loves this country would put her through what those governments have put it through. Well, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, it ends. This is step one of a much bigger mission. This is where it begins. Tonight, it is legitimate and it will not end here. I can tell you right now, Farley was backstage before, wondering if he starts on Monday. He's upset that we've got to wait for the Ritz to come in. Why? Bloody bureaucracy's getting in the way for us getting back to work. Ladies and gentlemen, the country's going to get saved. Put your hands together for the federal members of One Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Pauline Hanson, Senator Stuart Bonds, Senator Topher. Roberts, where is he? Come on up there. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Barnaby Joyce.
First of all, how humbling this is. It's seriously humbling. We've spent 13,000 kilometres across Farah. It costed 126,000. We listened. You listened. You agreed, and you spoke tonight. What are we doing tonight? We're like a mason with a chisel and a hammer, and we're recarving the letters into the Australian democracy. One nation has reached the end of its beginning. We're going through the ceiling from here. The biggest achievement, I think, that my career has delivered to me, but it's also the most passionate, most euphoric experience I've had. It's a job that I've got, and that job is for you, and you, and you, and all the way out to Pooncarry, all the way up to Hillston, all the way across to Holbrook, all the way down to Golgol, all the way through to Balranald and Hay, and right along the Great Murray River, and then back here to Albury. I've got three great ladies here tonight with me. One of the greatest, the second greatest, and my daughter, Emma. I've been incredibly fortunate to have a powerful team of volunteers and a powerful team of professionals behind me. But besides having the senators, not the senator, the member here, but the senators with me, a great team of people all the way from HQ in Brisbane who knew what they were doing. They championed me with a young man, but he was very, very capable and impatient at the same time. Where are you, Charles? Come on. Charles Swindon, put up your hand. Where are you, Charles? Yeah. Charles? You know, I'm at one end of the age spectrum and he's the other, but there is the future of One Nation and the future of Australia. Very capable.
I just wanted to say, David's going to say thank you to me. There's a whole contingent of volunteers over here, Mick, Ray and Brenton. And who you've all met at some point, I'm sure. Yes. They deserve this as much
praise. Thank you. Brink, talk about a bit of tall timber. This guy and I have been together now for nearly 2 months, side by side, arguing as we travel along. I'm going to wake up on a Monday morning and go, where's Britain? What a great Australian, what a great mate to have, but what a professional at the same time. Yeah, the success is in the whole team, and the whole team is just not here with us tonight. It goes all the way up to Guy Cooper, out in the southwest corner of the electorate, all the way up to Annette Smith, Julie Lawrence, Sandy Simons in Hay, all the way around to even my dear sister in Narandra who ran a booth, Paul Moody in Griffith, Joanna Brigatini, Sue Weir, Louise Burge, the names go on, and I saw, where is the bearded man? Anthony. Where's Anthony? Yes, up here. Yeah. We've got the old wolf passer. Yeah. Look, there's many names. It's the success doesn't come to the individual, it comes to the team. And it takes team captains, but it takes a team to deliver it here. So thank you to the Farah team. Thank you. You know, everyone takes one for the team. And there's a great volunteer we had who had to take it on. And Alan Beale, are you here tonight, Alan? Yeah. Where are you, Alan? Yeah. Right? Well done, mate. Well done. An Australian veteran as well. they say, that man takes no shit from no sailor.
To all the volunteers, let's use this step. Build a network, and when we go to the next electorate, we all work together and we get this nation back.
Hey, too right.
Besides the energy, the commitment, the compassion from the volunteers, there's others out there, and we're quite proud to say that we've taken a campaign. They cost a lot of money to run. They're not cheap, but the good thing about our campaign, when you look at where the money came from, the majority came out of Farah itself. And, there's no... done. That's exactly right. We got it done. So a great thank you to all the people who have donated, all the people that have committed themselves to Farah, and more important, we're committing ourselves to you now. I look across. It's been a competition, and I'm going to speak about the competition that's out there. They fought well. I'll say thank you. They fought well. Did they fight clean? Well, that's up to you to determine that. Right. But there was one gentleman in particular, I really enjoyed his company. He was a real Aussie, and that was Gary Pappen. So Gary, well played, well fought, and mate, we'll see you back on the hustings again, I'm sure. So what is our job now? Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's what we intend to do. We're going to focus on a couple of really big things that we can do immediately. We want to get the cost of living down. And our first target, we're going to start there, is on this damn net zero program. It's going to be pulled down, wrapped down, and kicked out. It's not what Australia wants, and it's not what Australia needs. We've got to have policy that fits Australia, not the world. We've got to go back and address our water. The water needs to be ours. It's got a purpose, and that purpose is to grow food and create jobs, create manufacturing, and put resilience back into our regional communities. So water's on our agenda. The responsibility of any government is to look after the health of the nation. That's you. Not the financial health, but it's your health, your family's health, and your generational health. Farah, the price of a safe seat is neglect. And again, when I travelled Farah, all the way across it, the infrastructure assets of health have been ignored. The infrastructure health asset programs that are happening in Albury now, I look forward to working with the two state ministers as quick as I can to get resolution to the Brown Bill. I look forward to getting plans working that address the new bill in the distant future. So we'll be working on that. We've got to address immigration. It's simple as that. We will not have housing supply, we will not get education right, and we will not get health right until we address the demand side. And we're creating artificial demand that's living off our pocket at the moment. Those numbers are going to come down. We're not going to implode any of our industries that are reliant on good quality, assimilating migrants into the country. We embrace them. But we're not going to entertain people to come here and live off our balance sheet, our purse, and give us nothing. We don't want to be dependent on other countries for our food. We don't want to be dependent on other countries for our energy. And we definitely don't want to be dependent or other countries bringing their culture into ours. We need Australia for Australians. We need an Australia capable of giving the opportunities to our grandchildren what our forefathers gave to us. But more importantly, what we need to do is start making our future, not someone else's future. We need to hold government accountable and responsible for how they spend our money, who they let into the country, and more importantly, how they defend the country. I'm going to have one of the worst, most impatient waits of my life. I have to wait for this thing called the Ritz to come back. Then I've got to go through a process of swearing in. And I must admit, the swearing in part's all right. I heard some pretty bad language on the hustings. But quite honestly, first of all, not only am I incredibly honoured and humbled to be with you, I'm very, very pleased that you listened to us and we listened to you and we had a great conversation, Farah. So thank you. Our future, your future is there to be made, and that's what we intend to do. Go out and make it for Australia. Thank you.
Well, congratulations, David. You have no idea how proud I feel. I really do. This is not only a win for Farah, it's a win for the rest of Australia. I'm seeing the sea of these proud Australian faces here in front of me, hundreds of you. But millions are watching on your TVs now, and I believe it's giving them hope to make people here to represent you, the people, to get our country back. And that's what we want. It's been a long journey for us, and I'm very proud to have our federal members of parliament here join with me. We have been a great team working together, and very much so for your benefit and for our future generations. David has outlined quite a few of the issues he wants to address. And I spoke to him today about the first one we're going to start tackling is the agricultural sector in this electorate. The farmers have been forgotten for far too long, and they're struggling to actually survive. I want to hold a forum here in Albury-Wodonga, call the farming sector. I want to hear from you what needs to change, how we're going to move forward. And then we're going to go on to another area and in the States, and we're going to form an agricultural policy that's going to fit Australia, not overseas interests. They are the backbone of this country, and it was built on that. And the mining industry, and I will be releasing my gas policy after this week coming. And we have consulted with the gas industry. What I want to do is put money back into our pockets from the gas industry, but they are our resources, and it's been given away. But what I want is a system where we will own part of that equity share in the exploration end of gas. So we are not just going to allow them to take it. That monies will then be put into a fund where no future governments can just willy-nilly give it away to other countries, waste it, get rid of it, but that will pay down our debt and give us the facilities what we need and the infrastructure.
future of this nation. And we want people that want to be Australians. I don't want immigration by no means, but I want people that come here to this country. I don't want Sharia law on our doors. I want true people that want to come on board, to be Australians and to join us in this journey of making our country the greatest country in the world again, like it used to be. I want to give a big thank you to the volunteers that are here today. Without you, this would never have happened. I do thank you immensely. My deepest congratulations to David for winning this seat. It's okay to have the banner of One Nation, but it also comes down to the candidate. And I think he's done a fantastic job. And the respect that this man has for you, the people in this electorate, is astounding. I've heard your comments about him. I also would like to congratulate and thank his wife, Janice, and his daughter for their support, because you have to have a partner on your side to do this trip, this journey. It's, when I was walking out of here earlier and I looked up and I saw Sky called it that we won the seat. Yeah. I actually got a tear in my eye. Until it's cold. You have no idea that I've been sort of on eggshells. Everyone says, you know, we look like we're going to win it, but until it's cold, you really don't understand the journey that I've been on. I'm so fortunate to have so many great colleagues working with me. Malcolm Roberts has been with me for 10 years. They all walk away from me. They don't.
Why would you?
Then I have, you know, Sean, he's our Senator for New South Wales. He's your Senator.
Yes.
Sean's been with me for nearly 10 years, so another one who stuck by me. I can be a tough boss, I will tell you. I don't put up with any SHOT. So, and then I have here Tyron Witten, our Senator from WA. No doubt about that. And I can't forget our latest team recruit. When they say, or when they walk away and they don't stick with One Nation, well, God, hell, you lost one of your own. That was definitely one. So you haven't let it go off me, because I like my best friend. You lost one of your biggest, and you didn't even know you had the best there beside you. And this is the journey that we're going to go on. But we're going to look forward to the future. And the people out there who may be watching this, we're coming after those other seats. You are not going to be the forgotten people anymore. We want our country back. And that's what One Nation is about. That's why I named the party One Nation. Control way out with this. That's right. Okay. So anyway, thank you everyone.
All right, guys. So that was the speech by David Farley there, the winning candidate for the Farah by-election. You heard from Senator Hanson as well. And congratulations to One Nation. Congratulations to David Farley, the member now for Farah. It's the first time in history of the party that they've won a lower house seat. Oh, we're going to have
studio, let him know that we're ready to go on.
Sorry, let me just give you a scooch over.
Yeah, sorry. Give you a bit more room. Alrighty, I have Senator Sean Bell with me. You're familiar with the winning feeling. Of course, you won a Senate seat, but this is different, isn't it? What's the significance of this lower house seat?
This is a historic moment for Australia. Never before has One Nation been able to win a federal lower house seat. We've just done that today. And I can tell you right now that is sending shockwaves through the entire country. The establishment will be terrified. Because David Farley, he has just had a David and Goliath battle, and we have come out on top. Because no one thought we would do this. And you look at the odds. You look at the betting odds when this started. They had us as the underdogs. But here we are, victorious.
Well, the key phrase there being when it started, of course, over the course of the campaign, the odds very much shortened for you. What do you think is going to be the Uniparty's attempted narrative around this? How are they going to try and explain this away as anything other than the rise of One Nation?
I don't know how they explain it away. I mean, all I know is that I was there at the very beginning when this campaign started, and we said we're going to run a clean campaign, a decent campaign. We were going to run on policy and detail. And that is what David did, and that is what One Nation did. And what we saw from the other parties was a very dirty campaign. It was very disappointing. So I think right now they'll be taking a good, hard, long look at it, because frankly, every cent the major parties, the Liberals, the Nationals, spent on this campaign should be declared as a gift in kind to the Albanese Labor government. Because as a result of their negative, quite disgraceful campaigning, the only one who's benefited from that is Anthony Albanese. And in the end, the people have seen through it, and One Nation has still been victorious.
In South Australia, we saw the final result in the election came in very close to the polling from before. We saw the same in Nepean. The result came in right on the polling. Here, on the current trend, of course it's not over, but on the current trend, One Nation are actually going to outperform the polling. Do you think that's unique to Farah? Is that unique to the federal level? How do you explain that?
It's a very interesting question. There wasn't a huge amount of polling, but it does seem like we might be outperforming it. And I think that might surprise some people within the Nationals or the Teals. But I think we do see that it will reflect the dirtier they got, the more that people rejected their message. And the more that people resonated with the positivity and that vision of hope and change and prosperity that One Nation brought to the table.
Well, thank you, Senator Sean Bell, for joining us on Rebel News. Cheers. All the best. May I do apologise. I do apologise. I'll stand. Hang on. If you stand there and I stand here, then we'll be. Are you right, Benji? Give me a nod when we can go. He's just got to let the studio know that we're good to go.
Good to go.
All right.
Good to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is Benji from Rebel News. We've got Rukshan back in the studio and myself as their reporter on the spot here. So this is Senator Malcolm Roberts. I am very, very blessed to call him a friend. We've known each other now in person since 2018, I believe, was when we spent a couple of days in a plane together.
And I've been an admirer before that, your first one about the 52.
Well, thank you. That's very, very kind. From your perspective, you've been alongside Pauline Hanson now for a very, very long time. You've seen her sacrifices. You've made sacrifices. You've seen the sacrifices of volunteers and candidates. What does this moment mean for you, for Pauline, for the party?
Well, I also want to say we've sacrificed for family. What it means is the first step in reclaiming Australia, restoring Australia, and vindication of what she said. Pauline's message for 30 years has not changed. Australia changed because of the two-party system. Now we're coming back. That's what it means. Australia reborn.
So now that the lower house is in play, we've proved that tonight. There's no longer any question. There's a massive organisational effort needed to be able to run high-quality candidates surrounded by good quality volunteers and support staff, etc. How do you plan to use this moment and obviously the momentum from this? How do you fill those roles with the best possible people? You've only got a year and a half to do it.
Well, what we've got to remember is that there's someone here tonight who's been here for now since 2015, James Ashby. He's done a marvellous job, an absolutely marvellous job. We've also got a new general manager at head office. They're putting the systems behind us to keep us systematic, to make us more systematic. And so they are developing the systems to answer your question exactly.
Now, I want to ask you personally, we heard David Farley, soon to be David Farley MP,
mentioned water. This is an issue that is crucial to the seat of Farrer. It's also very dear to my heart.
Australia.
It is. And it's also, I know, very dear to your heart because I saw how hard you worked over those few days that we were on a fact-finding mission together. How can One Nation put water back on the agenda? How can we get this back on the front burner?
One simple answer: truth. Telling the truth, basing that truth on data, hard data, and that tells us exactly what to do. We know what to do. Yeah. We just got to get that ingrained in other people and stop the lies in the Murray-Darling Basin.
Senator Malcolm Roberts, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Topher. Keep going.
Will do.
Sorry?
So we'll keep an eye on that in case Topher finds anyone else. I'm going to just keep this on the screen here while I continue to read your super chats, guys. So Topher's doing a great job getting a few interviews there with the One Nation senators. Let's have a look at these super chats and catch up. We did start, and then the interview started with Sean Bell. So let's have a look at where I was up to. It's been a very full-on night, guys, for me managing all this from the studio here. Avi's probably relaxing. He hasn't called in. He does have a link to call in, but he hasn't called in. Avi, if you're watching, give a call in. Let us know what you're doing. Let us know what you think about what's happening with One Nation if you are listening. Okay, let's have a listen to your super chats now. So we got one here from Rick Down Under who says, shame not more young people there. Yeah, it's a certain observation that many people make, but I have seen around the One Nation, the machine itself, especially in Victoria, a lot of young people involved. And we even saw during David Farley's speech, he called up some of the volunteers, and they're much younger gentlemen. So there is a younger team that's involved in One Nation as well that I have seen. A very generous super chat here from the Davey. Thank you so much for your contribution and supporting what we're doing. Super chat, One Nation MAGA Reform. Well, that's another, we didn't really get to go to that. I might ask Topher right at the end, but Reform UK have done very well in their local council elections. It's very different to the system that we have here, but they've done very, very well in the UK. Just as we're watching this, I can see from the corner of my eye that the opposition member is also speaking, the lady that ran for, I think her name was Razor. Actually, we'll just cross to this interview. Let's go to the One Nation interview.
Yeah. I'm not as tall as you, Ben Monson.
All righty, I've got Senator Tyron Whitten, and I've strategically placed myself on a higher step so that I look a little taller. Senator, my number one question, I think this is a question that all Australians are asking in this moment, is do you own more than one shirt?
Yes.
And they're all like this?
I love this one, but.
All right. I've only ever seen you wearing this.
The shirt's more famous than me.
So you know what this winning feeling feels like, but the significance in the Australian system of the Senate versus the lower house really can't be overstated. From your perspective, you've come into the upper house relatively recently. You didn't know it at the time, but this was the moment when One Nation was suddenly going to take off. How does this feel for you, and where do you go from here?
This is amazing. There's so many people put so much effort into this, and I just feel the orange tsunami coming. It's you can feel it in the air tonight, and I think there's a lot of people around Australia hoping that we're coming to their town soon.
So the orange tsunami, for someone like yourself, you see that as very positive. There's a lot of Australians out there that are being told by the media or by the other political parties to be afraid of the orange tsunami. What is the orange tsunami, and why does it fill you with hope?
They need to scratch below the surface. Don't believe the mainstream media. They should be listening to guys like you. Yeah. Everything they say about us isn't true. I've been called a racist, a Nazi, all sorts of terrible names. And I look in the mirror and sometimes I think, am I that? But I know I'm not. I've never been that. I'm not those things, and it's pretty awful being called those things.
All right, so let's not talk about what you're not. Let's talk about what is this orange wave.
It is people that have had enough. Yeah, that's why I'm here. When my kids would complain about something, I'd say, don't complain about it, do something about it. So when I had the opportunity, I had to take some of my own medicine.
That's what you did. Now, do you think this winning feeling is contagious? Are we going to start to see maybe some lower house seats come into play in West Australia as well as the rest of Australia?
Look, I'm not the political numbers guy, so I honestly couldn't say. I'd like to think so. I'd like to think there's enough Australians out there that believe in what we stand for, which is everything we do, every bill we look at, every decision we make, it goes through a filter. And is it good for Australia? And is it good for Australians? If it passes those tests, then we'll vote for it. If it doesn't, we will not vote for it.
Well, Senator Tyron Whitten, it's a very, very good night to be in this particular room. Thank you for being here and joining us on Rebel News. Cheers. All the best.
Thank you to Topher. So you got to keep my eyes on this because it's very fluid. But I will try to keep getting through your super chats, guys, as I keep an eye on what's happening on the after party location. Let's just get back to where I was up to. So the Davis, thank you for your very generous super chat. As I was saying, Reform UK have had an extraordinary result there in the UK, and Labour have been completely smashed. It's going to have wider ranging ramifications there in UK politics. And you're seeing this kind of populist movement in the Conservative side around the world. So thank you again for your super chat. We got one here from Brenton Meadow. Welcome to Rebel News, Rukshan. Thanks so much for the great commentary. We are sitting back listening to your balanced views. So happy to support your work, Rukshan, and Harvey hasn't got you deported yet. So I think you're pretty safe now in the media arena. Thanks for the support, man. I appreciate it, and thank you for the contribution to the mission of Rebel News Australia and what we're doing here. As you can see, guys, you can also support us by scanning that QR code. It does take us to the merchandise store. If you wanted to pick up some cool Rebel News merch and look as cool as Harvey does when he wears it. Next chat is from Rick again. I want a One Nation t-shirt. Mate, why did you pick up a Rebel News t-shirt as well, Rick? You can just scan that QR code, mate. What else do we have here? We've got another super chat here from Cowboy. Says ABC salty because they've been kicked out of One Nation coverage. Jealousy makes you nasty. Go One Nation. Let's cut to James.
Wait till we get the thumbs up from the studio.
Yeah. How do you get to see this? How do you know?
Alrighty. So this is James Ashby. A lot of people won't necessarily know who James is, but we just heard your name mentioned from the front. I need to defend your honour. There are people who believe that you were the one flying the plane the other day that did that when Orange Force One did a little bit of a bounce. I'm assured that it wasn't him. But James, for you, this is a years of building towards a moment like this, dreaming of a moment like this, going into campaign after campaign and falling short for one reason or another.
Yeah.
What's this feeling right now that you've actually crossed that line?
You know, I sat here. I couldn't even get into the room. It was that packed, and I sat behind that curtain there, and just sort of peered through from a, I don't know. It was a milky-looking vision that I could see, but for me, I got to be honest. I'm more proud for Pauline.
Sure.
She's actually bringing to fruition what she always saw for this country.
Yeah.
And that's the honourable thing that I see out of her, and I see it out of everybody here. We've been able to achieve something that she set a goal for, and it's really impressive.
So this is both a finish line, but it's also another start line, not only for David Farley as an MP, but I think this marks the beginning of a very urgent phase for One Nation, because no longer are you being perceived as just a minor party. You're being perceived as, at the very least, a want-to-be alternative major party. And that requires very different things from you in the eyes of the Australian public. How do you, as part of sort of the party machine itself, how do you prepare yourself for another federal election in 18 to 24 months' time and actually be able to present to the Australian people that alternative major party?
Well, first of all, you've got to stop thinking of yourself as a minor party. That's the key focus. And instead of saying that we want to be in opposition or we want to be part of a coalition, we've actually got to now say that we are prepared and we're ready to govern this nation. And I think Pauline's got the right, she's got the value sets, the policy sets, and now I think she's got the right team to get us on that trajectory.
Yeah.
And the Australian people are ready. They are genuinely ready for change. I think you see it when you're on the streets. I certainly see it when I'm, 11 years now we've worked together, and we've seen this groundswell. It builds and builds and builds. People have never heard so much as they have today. And if there's one thing that Albo won't do, and if there's one thing that Angus Taylor will not do, and if there's one thing that other leaders of parties won't do, it is get down on the streets and have a conversation with people. Because only then do you realise how big a trouble we're in as a nation. And I, unlike other nations, I think we've got time to turn it around, but we don't have much time.
Look, I agree. And actually, I was interviewing Pauline I picked a park bench on the side of a busy road, Dean Street in the middle of Albury, because I knew people would want to talk to her. And what I hoped would happen was what happened, which was we had I believe Sudanese fella came in, an Iranian came in, a Cambodian came in. I only know that because I asked them. I said, hey, where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from? And I wanted to capture that. These people were excited. The young Cambodian lady was literally dancing in her shoes, so excited to be able to shake Pauline's hand. How do you translate that into government? What's the mountain that you've got to climb now? And I guess more specifically, at an organisational level, it's a very, very different beast now.
Every one of those people, I was there and I saw it from a background point of view. Every one of those people saw themselves as Australian. They don't see themselves as anything else.
Yep.
And I think that's what that's what resonates with the One Nation brand. Is we're not talking about a multicultural society. We're certainly talking about a multiracial society because we've got that. But we love the fact that so many of those people that do come here are willing to be Australian first and foremost. Sure. They want to leave all the tensions and rubbish that they left behind and come here for something new and adopt the Australian values, adopt the Australian way of life. They want to work, they want to contribute, they want to build the nation. As all those migrants did from decades ago, we sadly have allowed a cohort of new migrants to determine the way that we govern, the way that we accept or change our laws, and we've got to stop that. We have to do this as one nation, and that is why this brand, this team is so important today, because we are doing it as one nation. We've actually got foresight, policy and a direction that actually brings the country together as one.
I'm going to give you an absolute free kick here. You're part of the organisation of the party itself. If people are looking at this going, hey, maybe there is hope, maybe I want to get involved, how would they get involved? Where would they go?
Well, there's room for everyone. And that's the big thing. Like, if you are Team Australia, we want you. And it doesn't matter whether you're handing out how to vote cards on polling booths or door knocking or you run as a candidate. Sure. We recognise that there's a place for every single person, but we can no longer sit at home and think that she'll be right, because it won't be. We've sat back for too long, and we've now all got to do something about the direction of this country. And, you know, elections only come around at a federal level every 3 years. Sure. If you can't give up one day every 3 years, you're a selfish prick, because you're sending this country down the shit chute real fast. And that's the reality of it. Yeah. Under Labor and the coalition, the duopoly, that's where we're headed. Yeah. We're headed down a really slippery slope. We're seeing it now. We've got the budget coming out this next week, and the number one focus is raising taxes on people. Yeah. Working, middle-class people are being punished for doing the right thing. And I'm sorry, but we should be creating an aspirational society, not one that fears going to work because they're going to lose it in taxes.
Well, James, I'm going to have to do your job for you and say onenation.org.au. That's where you go.
Correct.
James Ashby, congratulations. Today's a breakthrough day. Well done for all of your work.
And thanks for your help. Arvy's help.
Arvy the slacker, who couldn't even show up to be a part of the live stream. Is he though? If he was a good man, he would be here. That's what that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
We love you.
Thanks, James. Rukshan, I think we do have to ask the question. You had just put on the Rebel News payroll, and all of a sudden Arvy's missing in action. Is there something we should know about here? Has Ezra Levant and Rebel News decided to make a bigger change than perhaps what was advertised? I'll let you explain your way out of that one. Back to you in the studio, Rukshan.
Thanks for that one, Topher. Yes, the diversity hire is slowly taking over Rebel News Australia here. Avi Yemeni has been slacking off for years, and finally we're getting some work done. We've got this amazing live cross happening thanks to my work and Benji, and of course now Topher. Where is Avi? Nah, just joking, guys. It's been great. It's only been my first week here at Rebel News Australia, but already having a fun time doing this. So we're going to keep an eye out on what Topher's doing with this after party, because he's walking around, he's getting interviews. I'm going to continue to try to finish off these super chats so I can get to all of the super chats. Bit of lag there, bumping into people, I guess. All right, let's go to the next super chat, guys. So we got one here from Sunny First Fleet. I know a big bunch of Gen Z lads voting. Ooh. We've got Avi calling in. All right, let's get this guy Avi into this stream. 1 second. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Gotta get Avi on this camera. Let's have a look. Avi guest. Oh, he'll try again. He'll try again. So Avi is watching. All right, guys, let's keep going. So, signing first side Fleet says, I know a big bunch of Gen Z lads voting One Nation. They love Pauline and One Nation, and they call it as it is and are Australia first. This super chat from Clever Pepperell. $2 super chat. Thank you for your contribution and we appreciate it. Just Truckington says, can you buy the volunteer that got gaslighted by James Patterson, Liberal senator, a beer from Australia? Also love your work, Rukshan. You're a true Aussie doing the hard slog while Avi parties. Cheers, brother. Thank you, mate. Thank you. I hope you're doing these super chats on Rukshan Fernando's page and not direct to Avi, right? Then we got Rick Down Under. Says, chat everyone who is anyone is One Nation is there. Another one from Rick. A few super chats from Rick tonight. Thank you, Rick, for joining in. Here we go. Avi's coming on. Let's see if we can get him. Oh my God, Avi.
Oh, there we go. Look at that. Oh wait, I'll go this way. Does that work?
Got you onto the stream. Let me just get this comment off the screen.
How you doing, Rukshan?
I'm actually doing good. I got like it's like I'm in the Matrix covering this election. I'm just all into it. But I think you've been watching bits and parts of it. Topher's doing a great job replacing you, so you might be completely replaced.
I'm not giving Topher any credit because I have heard him. I have heard him trying to throw me under the bus. I've had a few drinks here at my nephew's bar mitzvah. And yes, that is the point of a diversity hire. You get them to pick up the slack when you're unavailable. But what a win tonight, bro! And this wasn't just a little win. The numbers are. This was an annihilation by One Nation, where people thought it was going to be super close. It was projected that One Nation was going to win, but not by this much.
Yeah.
It is a huge, massive defeat. The Liberal Party will be crapping themselves coming to the next election, but now it looks like the Teals have lost that shine. And this is going to be the era of One Nation, sensible leadership, proper populist leadership. And it also shows like all those douchebags, even on our side, that have, spent the last couple of years trying to undermine One Nation because they think that they're too Jew-friendly, too Israel-friendly, too focused only on the radical Islam problem, but not teaming up with them against the Jews. It just proves that they're so irrelevant. And what's so funny is I just scrolling X while my wife doesn't see me at the bar mitzvah. I'm hiding here. 'Cause it's like, what a night for my nephew to have his bar mitzvah. And I've got to go back in a second. But scrolling it, I can see a lot of those same voices that rallied against One Nation, even in recent weeks, because they're just not happy enough with One Nation's stance on some of the most conservative issues. The fact that they're not joining their hate mob fine, they like their right-wing policies and those things, but not joining the hate mob against the Jews, against Israel, against all that. They've tried to demonize them like the left do, and none of it worked. And that's the thing. That's why I love One Nation. Is no matter what, she stays consistent, and it pays off because the average Australian, not those that live on the internet, they love this country.
Yeah.
And loving this country doesn't mean just hating certain groups because it's popular on the internet. It means standing for what's right and defending your borders and being against mass migration and actually combating the issues, whether economic, social issues, whatever it is, for the issue, not for clicks and likes on social media. So I'm so happy. And I think those drinks, I started downing doubles. I'm sorry. But thank you. I want to thank you, Rukshan, for taking this tonight. We're really putting you to work on the first night. And obviously Topher's done a fantastic job. I keep literally playing it and putting it to my ear and then getting clipped on the other ear from my wife that I should be here enjoying the party. But thank you so much for doing it tonight, and thank you to all the viewers that tuned in. I'm really excited for the times ahead, and I'm sure you are.
I'm excited. I mean, I've kind of knew this was going to be the result. A lot of us that have been following this closely knew that this would most likely be the result. The betting odds were showing this as well, but it was
the betting odds were showing that they were going to win, but I don't think
not in this regard. Yeah, not in this way. But just to touch on some of the things you've said, Ivy, I won't hold you for too long because I'll be hearing from your wife as well.
Yeah,
it's true. Like you can hear from David Farley, you can hear from James Ashby just before, and even Pauline when we've spoken to her. They are trying to reach all Australians that love this country. They want to have that coalition of Australians that love Australia on their side, making a difference for the future of this country. I think Pauline Hanson really believes in that, even though she gets labelled, even though One Nation supporters get labelled as racist and all these things. It is not about that. Is not what they're doing, and you can see that. You can see that today.
It's not about skin colour; it's about values. And that's my point here. I guess I come at it from the Jewish perspective because that's the low-hanging fruit. The people that hate us, like that's what I always tell people. That's the metric I use to gauge. Obviously, because it's personal. Like Israel and Jews is personal to me, but it's a great metric. You can see if somebody jumps on that train, then they're doing it for clicks or likes or they're dumb. Either one, but they're both useless, right? One Nation has always, and it's always been about values. They've always said, if you have values that love this country and you want to make this country better in the way that to build it, then they're happy for you to jump on. Does not matter your skin color, your race, religion, gender. Doesn't matter to them.
Yeah,
which is exactly what I'm saying.
All right, mate. Thanks for joining in.
I feel like I'm getting kicked off now. By the
you are getting kicked off. You are getting kicked off. That's enough of you, and we're going to continue.
Is that because the whiskies are coming through?
The whiskies are coming through. I'm seeing in the comments people are telling Avi you shouldn't be calling him tipsy.
I shouldn't be calling what?
Calling him tipsy. It's a lot worse when Avi's actually tipsy and drunk, guys.
All I'll say to you guys is I'm not tipsy. I'm absolutely bloody hammered. But God bless Australia and One Nation all the way. Good work.
Thanks.
Good night.
Thank you. There we go, guys. We heard there from Avi Yemeni, the chief correspondent here in Australia for Rebel News Australia. I'm his sidekick officially now here in Australia as well, just recently joining Rebel News. Let's continue to read these super chats, and we'll probably call it a night after that, unless Topher's got any more interviews lined up. He is with someone there. He might be interviewing them. Let's have a look. Benji, you can let him know that you can interview. All right, let's keep reading the super chats. From Sunnyside again. Love you, peeps. Love you, peeps. Living Farah, you did good. Yeah, shout out to the Farah electorate for seeing past all the BS and putting it in a great candidate there from One Nation. We got from Carly's super chat. It's been a while since I've been proud to be an Aussie. Tonight I am proud once again. Definitely the atmosphere within the One Nation party room was very much patriotic. You love to hear the Aussie, Aussie, Aussie chants, of course. But just in general, you can tell that there are people that truly love the country. From Kat the Queenslander, Rebel News. Let's just bring this up here. Rebel News, Rukshan and Topher have done an amazing job tonight. The Australian spirit is amazing. Bring on the federal election. Let's wipe out the uni party and get our country back. Vote One Nation. Thank you for the super chat, Kat. Sunnyside says she is all about Aussie people. She's an Aussie battler. Definitely, I mean, for someone to be go through what Pauline Hanson has been through and then to battle through it for 30 years, right? Some people might look at it and be like, oh, well, she's failed a lot throughout that time. But what she's managed to build over these 30 years, if she can leave a legacy of a solid third-party option as one nation, a contender that can perhaps even challenge the uni party in a meaningful way, similar to what the Greens do to Labour, that would be a great legacy, of course, for One Nation and, of course, for Pauline Hanson. We got one here from P. Taylor. Good job, Team Orange. Thank you for the super chat. Amelia with Faith. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Jacqueline says, On the Road to the Holy Grail. I think that was a song. Thank you, Jacqueline, for the super chat. Big love, Farah. You made Aussie history as Aussies. Jacqueline also says, On the Road to the Holy Grail. And can you hear the thunder? You better run. You better take cover. Oh, yeah, Albo. A warning shot there to Prime Minister Albanese. You can probably hear my dog in the background barking as well. One Nation wins a seat. This is from the other side by One Nation wins a seat. Australia are sending a message loud and clear. The country wants major change. Congrats from Minsk, Belarus. Another super chat here from Insane Shooter. Thank you so much. Day 7087. Thanks for the super chat. Keep the Greyhound running in Tassie. Let's go. Barnaby's on the screen. Might get Barnaby.
Said I could jump in.
Very quickly, we're just going to get the nod from the studio. Barnaby, is this the Barnaby effect? Are you claiming credit for this? You join One Nation, all of a sudden they're picking up lower house seats?
No, I've certainly been part of it. You can't be hubristic and you can't also be false. I've played my part, and together we've made a massive change. It's now making a massive change in Australia. It's not just happening in Australia, it's happening across the world. We've seen it. We've seen it in England. People have said, we have so much potential when we get away from left-wing bureaucrats and we get away from ideological butterfly chasing and just get back to the people.
Your former colleagues were high-fiving each other when they bullied you out of their party. Now the Liberal and National parties combined are running at about 21% primary, less than half of what David Farley just secured in the seat of Farah. Obviously, we can conclude you've jumped ship at the right time. Do you think this has implications for future defections? How do they come back? How do they respond to this?
Well, I'll tell you what, something did annoy me. They said, your role from now on in the National Party is to mentor people. Well, I am. I'm mentoring you. I'm mentoring you to change. And look, it was humiliating how I was treated, but more than made up for by people such as these who say, no, you've got a huge role to play, and you play it with the team, with One Nation team, and we're going to go on to do great things. Australia can do so well. We can do so well. When you think about Singapore, an island off the Malaysian peninsula with a GDP about a quarter to a third of ours, no iron ore, no coal, no gas, no uranium, no water, no cattle, no irrigation, no minerals, and well, we have them all. We could be a superpower. No. But you know what's wrong with us? Us. Let's change it.
So Barnaby, you campaigned for ever so long for this country. You're a former Deputy Prime Minister, and then after that you continued in politics. Others, I will note in the context of the Farah by-election, tend to leave as soon as they no longer get the big chair. You weren't one of those people. You, if I may say, I'm taking a liberty here, but that period of time broke you in some certain ways, didn't it? It took an enormous toll on you, let me say it that way, that period of time. What's the contrast now, being in One Nation, and how do you feel about the future of this country, seeing what you're seeing now in contrast?
It's a very good question. I think the first thing is I can say what I like, and what is my belief structure is not sanitised by people saying, oh, you can't say that, Barnaby, because you'll scare off people in teal seats. Or we do have to believe in climate change, and we can change the climate. If you don't believe in net zero, Barnaby, you're going to have to, resign. Now I can say, the chances of us changing the climate in Australia is like zero. And if you believe that, you are, a drug addict. I don't know, something wrong with you. And you can say, if you just bring in people hand over fist from any part of the world, think it's all going to be a marvellous soup. No, it'll be something that nobody can eat, and it'll be a disaster. Get out of farmers' farms, government. Get your socialist fingers off their farms. Leave them alone. We have to have a defence force that, I know this is remarkable, a defence force that can defend us. Let's try and do that. Let's get rid of the climate change department. Let's get rid of climate change policy. Let's get all those big savings and put them where they're really actually needed. So there's so much ground that every pensioner tonight, when they hear we're going to get rid of the climate change department, they're clapping. They're clapping with us.
Yeah. One last question for you. Have you made up your mind where you're going to run at the next federal election?
No, I haven't. Once more, first of all, for the people of New England, as if to whether I'd ever succeed in New England, I don't get ahead of myself. But if it's required that we have an obvious, strong swing of seats in the House of Representatives, then you have to do the right thing by Australia, and you have a great opportunity for New England, and that is you have to have a strong sense of experience, and obviously I've been the Deputy Prime Minister of Australia 3 times. I know how to do it.
Barnaby Joyce, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Just before you run off.
All right, guys. So that's Topher there, interview with Barnaby Joyce. I'll keep reading the super chats. Just give me 1 second. I'll just catch up to where we were. So probably going to end up finishing the stream after these super chats, and maybe we'll get a final word from Topher as well to finish up on. So thank you so much for all of you, thousands of you who have joined in live throughout the night. I believe at one point it was close to 10,000 people watching live, which is great across platforms. Thank you so much. And thank you again for your contributions as well. So let's keep reading these super chats. We've got one here from Days7087. Keep the Greyhounds running in Tassie. Let's go Orange. Sunnyside says the UK sent a message to Starmer today. That's right. The UK reform. We'll probably chat about that on one of the upcoming episodes of the Opposition podcast. We got here from Amelia with faith. A win for One Nation is a win for Australia. Thank you, Amelia. Thank you for the super chat. Insane shots. Thank you. Thank you again. Appreciate it. From Catherine here, Hippo character applauds whilst nodding in approval. Thank you for the emoji super chat. We appreciate it. Jacqueline says, our Anzacs are now starting to dance in their graves. Thank you for your service and hopefully more dancing to come. Thank you for the super chat. Sunnyside First Fleet says, One Nation need the people now. Put your hand up, Australia. Got a contribution here from Malsabout. Thank you for the super chat. Cowboy says ABC managed to sneak in somehow. Kick him out. They did get a shot from far away. It wasn't a close-up nice shot like we had from our cameraman Benji. Thank you, Benji, if you're listening. Also, Benji, if you're listening, just let Topher know. We'll just get him to do a sign-out at some point as I'm finishing up reading these super chats, and we'll end the stream after that. So Kat says, love Topher and Carl's One Nation all the way, baby. Guys, yes, you can listen to the Oddcast. Topher and Carl's do the Oddcast. The Oddies, some of the Oddies are probably watching here as well. So make sure you follow Topher Field and Carl's at the Oddcast. They do a great stream discussing all things politics. Yeah, we're going to get Topher here, I think. Let's have a look. What are they doing? Let's see. I'll just keep reading. Marcus here says, best wishes to One Nation and supporters. Thank you for being the change in this country. All right, Topher's ready. I think let's just go to him.
Well, it is all over bar the singing, but believe me, the singing is going to go on for a very long time. There is a euphoria that has taken over, the sense of relief, the catharsis after being on eggshells for ever so long. This is an incredible moment. It is genuine history that has been made here with One Nation taking a federal lower house seat in the form of David Farley. It's a tremendous moment. We've got the cheer squad behind. I'm hoping you can hear me. It is so incredibly loud, but the atmosphere is amazing and the people are wonderful. This will be my last cross. I'm well overdue for some whiskey and a cigar, so I'm going to knock off soon and go and do that. But I want to just reflect on one last thing. I've been saying for many, many years, since 2009 when I began my political commentary, that we can make a difference. And so often there are naysayers, there are doom mongers, there are people who say, oh, don't bother fighting the voice. They have decided you'll never make it work. Or whatever the issue may be, selected, not elected. We hear all these kinds of, frankly, cop-outs, excuses that people give for why they're not going to spend time, they're not going to spend energy, they're not going to take the risk. Honestly, I think it's cowardice. I think they're afraid that if they try and fail, what does that mean? Well, have a think about what it means to try and succeed. Pauline Hanson has given 30 years with some amazing ups and some absolutely abysmal downs. And if she hadn't endured all of that and persevered through all of that and stood up for the land down under, then she would never have reached this moment that we're all witnessing right here. I can tell you there is no room that I would rather be in than a room filled with genuine, authentic Aussies who are taking their country back. I can tell you if this feeling spreads around the country in the coming Victorian state election, New South Wales state election, the federal election that follows, and all the elections going forward, if this is the feeling that is going to spread around Australia, then get excited. And it doesn't have to be One Nation. You can pick a different party. But please, I am begging you, get involved, because each and every one of us can make a difference. We do make a difference, but only if enough other people get alongside us shoulder to shoulder. I'm not going to tell you who you should vote for or who you should volunteer for, but I'm going to tell you, if you're not a member of a party, change that. If you don't volunteer, change that. You are going to go through some abysmal lows. Ask me how I know. I've been through them. But you will also get moments like this, moments that you will remember for the rest of your life. And you cannot get here without taking the risk of being in the other place a few times first. Thank you so much for joining the telecast. Rukshan, Rebel News, thank you so much for inviting me on as a guest reporter live here inside the after party, the after election party for One Nation. My name's Topher Field. I've been reporting for you for Rebel News, and it is long past time I had some whiskey and a cigar. I'm out of here.
Thank you, Topher. Have a good one, mate. Amazing work, guys, by Topher Field. Give him a hand if you're watching at home. I think he's really brought it today with all the interviews he's done. His commentary is just great. And finally, he can go have a drink. I know he loves to have a cigar. He's probably packed a few cigars there with him for the night. So thank you, Topher. We're going to finish up, guys, with the super chat. So let's keep reading. We've got one here from Kat, the Queenslander. Love Topher and Carl's One Nation all the way, baby. Thank you for the super chat. Marcus says, best wishes to One Nation and supporters. Thank you for being the change this country needs. Balsabot, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. We got one here from Sam. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate that for your support, your generous support as well there. Thank you so much. We got one from Snug with Pug. It's a sticker. Pair character stretching his arm forward and raising his thumbs up. I really wish these emoji ones came up on the screen. It would be so much better. Another generous super chat here from Pack. Thank you. Victory Beers for the beers. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. We got one here from PSL again. Will Pauline read our super chats? Man, not tonight. I think Pauline's got to be partying. You could see that she was very emotional during her speech, and even earlier when she was speaking to Topher. This has been a long time coming for this political party. No, she's like Topher said, she's achieved many great things in her time. She's had a lot of downs as well. But this is a part of the history of One Nation now. And, she deserves a lot of drinks, a lot of relaxation, and a good time to enjoy and savor the moment for sure. We got one here from Kanya who says, a Shiba dog squeezing a big red heart. Thank you for the emoji super chat. Appreciate it. Lemon character offering a gift to baby Lemon. I like reading out these emojis. We got from Rusty Woodpecker. Thanks, mate. Thanks for super chat. Another one from Rusty. Evil rests in the hearts of those who are silent about injustice. One Nation have been silent. One Nation has never been silent, sorry. The orange tsunami is inevitable. Thank you. And from Michelle, what's the best way to support Rebel News Australia? Guys, the best way to support Rebel News Australia is you can go to the Rebel News website, rebelnews.com.au. You'll see ways there that you can support the work that we are doing. We are not the mainstream media. We don't have the billions of dollars of budget like the ABC do. It is down to the contributions made by viewers at home like yourselves. These super chats that you guys are doing while we're watching this stream, we are able to bring you I think this is a high quality production. I know the setting might be a little bit different, but this is a new way to do things. You know, we're not sitting in suits. We're engaged in the political process. We're talking to people. We're talking to politicians, and we're bringing you stuff from the ground, and bringing your comments onto the screen as well. I love these kind of productions, and if you want to support more work like this, definitely go to rebelnews.com.au and get behind supporting one of the campaigns there to support Rebel News. You can also scan the QR code. That's another way to support us, what we're doing. If you scan the QR code, it'll take you to the Rebel News store, and you can buy some awesome Australia First merchandise that's available there. Thank you for the question. We got on from the light in this dark world. For One Nation to win more seats, the party needs to go out into the community more, set up a stand in a community-run event like a show, for example. They definitely are engaging a lot more with the community, but I understand what you're saying. That requires volunteers, that requires people on the ground, that requires members, and you're seeing more and more of that as each campaign happens. We saw that in South Australia. We saw a big volunteer base in the Nepean by-election, and now we're seeing this in Farah, this support growing. And with a victory in general, like in sports, when a team is winning, more people want to get involved. That's just kind of a fact of life. This will push people to put their hand up and get involved as well. In a positive way. I'm not saying in a negative way. I'm saying in a positive way. It will give people some encouragement that they're not alone in some of the things that they may believe in, some of the things that they hope for this country, and they'll want to get involved with something like this, with what One Nation are doing. But just like Topher said, there's other political parties as well. It's all about getting involved and being a part of it. If you don't, you end up with a uni party, Labor and Liberal, decades and decades, just the same thing over and over, and really not much progress for the nation. Instead, going backwards. Next super chat here is from Michael Loaf. Thank you. Congratulations, David Farley, One Nation, and the great Australians that want their Australia back. What a fantastic result. Top work, Rukshan, Avi, and Topher. Thanks also for the support the past 4 years with Paul's fight, Freedom Truck Appeal, July 27th. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for the generous contribution. Appreciate it. Liberty Prime, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Baz the Dark Horse, thanks for saving Rebel News from Avi Rook. No worries. No worries, guys. Things are going to change around here now that I'm here. We're going to change things a little bit, right? Ralski says, shout out to the Free Speech Australia, Stop Media Lies on X. Well done, Rebel News and Topher and Avi and Rukshan. Appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. Congratulations from Jazzy Down Under. Thank you. Another one. Thank you, Jazzy. I appreciate it. Liberty Prime, make Australia great again and get on the beers. I feel like having a drink after this for sure. Super chat, Rook, first timer with Rebel back pay, mate. Yeah, I should fill in a form for back pay for sure. Benji films like he drives. I think Benji's listening. No comment. We'll just take that as a statement, mate. Thank you. Baseline Benny, thank you. Talium, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Gabriel, woohoo, go One Nation for sure. Stays sharp. Thank you. Nice one, guys. Go One Nation. And we got one from Loz. Great coverage, guys. Hi, Rook. Hey, what's happening? Hi, Topher. Congrats to joining Rebel Rukshan. Now the left and far left will call you a token for the right. By the way, there will be a protest tomorrow. Gonna be there tomorrow. I got a few things happening with Mother's Day happening. I'll have a look at what the protest is about. Maybe Avi can go do some work tomorrow. What do you reckon? The real Eric Alistair says, history has been made today and tonight is a good night. A huge thanks for Rukshan, Benji and Topher for the excellent coverage of this event. Time to have some beers. And we're almost at the end, guys. Last two super chats here. I love this way. I love this way to hear news. MSM is done. Yeah, legacy media, mainstream media is done. I think live streaming, chatting, doing this, keep repeating it. This is the future. We're just getting into this early, guys. Make sure you subscribe to all our channels, Rebel News Australia, Australia, Avi's channels, Topher, and of course, Rukshan Fernando. Don't forget me. You can find me on all the different platforms as well. But main one is Rebel News Australia, guys. Make sure you subscribe to that. Martina says, chat amazing reported by Topher. Thank you, Rukshan and Rebel News. I love this country and tonight filled me with hope. As a grandmother of 6, I have faith in this country again. What a poignant message. Thank you for that super chat. And this election victory is for Farah, One Nation, and for Australia. And on that note, guys, I hope you have enjoyed our coverage today from Rebel News Australia of the Farah by-election. Again, my name is Rukshan Fernando. I'm going to sign off now. We'll be back again doing more stories like this, more shows like this. We got the Victorian election coming up, most importantly, for those of you watching from Victoria, which I know is much of our audience, in November. So keep an eye out for the coverage that we do during that time. It should be something like this, right? More fun and entertaining like this. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining in. And if you haven't, ensure you follow the website, support Rebel News, and subscribe and follow all our channels. And one massive final thanks to the great Topher Field for his contributions today. Let me just bring it up on screen here. We can get, if you want to follow Topher, we're just going to give you one more opportunity to find out where Topher is and where he puts up all his work. I think the man deserves a plug for all the great contributions today as our guest reporter. Let's have a look, Topher. So you can follow Topher at Topher Field on X and all different platforms. All right, everyone. Have a good night. Take care. God bless Australia. Bye.